backs are always hopeful of running all the way to the end zone. And the Canadian Football League in 1989 had plenty of backs capable of doing that. But the biggest run of the season came from a guy who had never gone this far before.
Austin, draw play to Walling. Gets the block. He's got 10. He's into the 30, the 20, the 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Walling.
I was just ecstatic about getting the run because it was something that I've always dreamed about, scoring the game-winning touchdown, and it happened on that play, and it couldn't have come at a better time for us.
For Brian Walling, us now means the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as he returns to face his former teammates, the Edmonton Eskimos, in today's CFL West Final.
This is Foster's Canadian Football Network. Today's Western Final from Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton is brought to you by Foster's Lager, proud to bring you the best of the CFL. By Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. And by 7-Up. Are you up for it?
You take Saskatchewan's chances seriously when you look at the matchups. Kent Austin, quarterback, had a game better than any Tracy Ham had this season, 492 yards. In the middle, David Albright, one of the leading tacklers in the CFL when he's healthy. Dan Bass, of course, for Edmonton. Bobby Durison had more sacks than anybody with the Eskimos, but the Toaster Williams is always a man to watch. And Jeff Fairholm and Tom Richards, two of the best Canadian slot backs. You can continue to go down the rosters, and Saskatchewan does have top players, and Saskatchewan has them healthy today. Welcome to the Canadian Football Network's coverage of the CFL West Final. The question all year in this league has been who's going to beat Edmonton, and now there are only two teams with a chance. Hamilton next week if Saskatchewan can't do it today, and of course Saskatchewan and nobody but the Eskimos.
Second thing they have to do is Tracy Ham has to escape the Saskatchewan pass rush and create scoring opportunities with his scrambling abilities. He's most dangerous, I believe, when he improvises. And the last thing they have to do is they have to diffuse the emotionally charged Rough Riders early in the game. The Saskatchewan club enjoys their underdog role, and the longer they hang in there with the Eskimos, I think the better their chances of victory today.
There's a lot of green in the stadium, some with gold and some with white.
Hamilton Tiger Cats are in the Grey Cup. They beat Winnipeg in the East Final this afternoon, 14-10, a byproduct of that. Good news for the Canadian Football Network. We're happy to tell you that Winnipeg head coach Mike Riley will be part of our Grey Cup coverage next Sunday from Toronto. The kicking game today, even punting-wise with Corrick and Baker, I believe, but Saskatchewan has an edge. The best field goal kicker in the CFL in Dave Ridgway. We're set to go in the West Final. Here's Dave Hodge.
And there is Dave Ridgway, and the Edmonton Eskimos are going to get the football and a wind advantage, and Ridgway is going to kick it somewhat short of the deep man who works deep right, and Tony Hunter and the Eskimos will have the ball a yard ahead of their 40-yard line for Tracy Ham in the offense.
I talked to Joe Farragelli yesterday. I asked him what his game plan was. Not an unusual question. He said, well, I'd like to come out and start running the football, but he gave me the impression that it's kind of left up to Tracy Ham. Whatever you feel like, go ahead and do.
That's exactly right, Neil. You just go with the flow. Whatever's happening, whatever's working for you, that's what you do.
Tracy Ham can do it all. It's a question of what he's able to do best today. Reggie Taylor, the leading rusher in the CFL, directly behind him. First play of the game, and Ham will look to throw. To Blake Marshall out of the backfield. He's at the 47. It's a gain of 6.
Well, that's an excellent start right now, because anytime that you're going to pick 6-7 yards up on a first down, you're starting to dictate to the defense what you're going to do. You keep them off balance. You can play action, you can run, and you can pass.
And they have kept many defenses off balance this year because they have those a multi-dimensional offense.
To say the least.
Second and 4, running situation or passing situation. Ham gives it to Marshall. He gets plenty for the first down and gets into Saskatchewan territory down near the 52-yard line. It's a nice day, nicer than it might have been. Above zero, there is wind, and it is at the backs of the Eskimos now. The field, when we call it wet, doesn't mean that it's sloppy wet or even slick wet, but there is moisture on the field that might wind up being a factor. First pass to an actual receiver is to Tony Hunter for another Edmonton first down, and the Eskimos have taken this ball and have done just about everything that they can do. Tracy Ham, though, still hasn't had to run.
Well, you know, they're going to work on Steve Wiggins being the new guy in the backfield there. You know they're going to test him early. And with this footing out here, he's got to play those receivers a little bit closer than that.
Hurry up offense for Edmonton. No huddle. Ham with lots of time throws it high, and that's too high.
Find that concept interesting that the Eskimos would come out after a couple of first downs and go into that hurry-up offense. We've seen the BC Lions under Matt Dunnigan do it with success. It's almost like a quick, instant huddle what they're doing. Offensive line up there, quick talk to the receivers, and bang, away they go.
From the Saskatchewan 34, again, Ham with all sorts of time. He's dangerous now. He's got riders chasing him, but they don't get him until he gets to the 17-yard line and gets another Edmonton first down.
Well, right away, the thing we talked about, that if you don't stick to your pass lanes when you're rushing the quarterback, he needs a seam. What's going to happen is that David Albright, the middle linebacker, he drops back in coverage. When he sees Ham escape to one direction or the other, he's got to come up and make that play. That puts a lot of pressure on him, but he's a pretty good athlete.
Ham is in the pocket where the Riders want him to be. Now he's out of it. He's throwing wide open receiver inside the 5-yard line. Marshall has another first down.
Well, the one thing you look at Tracy Ham, when he moves to the line of scrimmage and starts to run, he rarely tucks the ball away. He keeps the ball out in front of him like he's going to throw it. He could, in fact, pass the line of scrimmage, and defensive backs still don't know what to do. Do I come up, make the hit, or do I stay in coverage?
Here they come again to the ball. It's Taylor, first carry of the game, gets him a touchdown.
About what I would call a workmanlike effort, they come out, take that ball, and just march it down like they're at practice right now. It's tremendous. What tremendous poise.
And they did it by using a lot of different aspects of their offense. They've run the ball. Both backs have touched the football, be it run or catching it, use some receivers, and of course, Tracy Ham, second and long. What does he do when there's no one open? He gets them the first down.
7 plays, 69 yards for a touchdown plus a convert, and very quickly it is 7-0 Edmonton.
To get to the Grey Cup, our riders will have to play like a well-oiled machine.
For you to get to the Grey Cup, stop at any of Mr. Lube's 3 locations. Mr. Lube and Travel Directions will be sending 2 lucky customers to the Grey Cup in Toronto. Drop in, get the 10-minute oil change, and enter to win.
Was that? Nah, it couldn't have been. Even with the salary caps, my guys don't need a second job.
Will there be anything else, Coach?
Travel Directions and Mr. Lube, sending you to the Grey Cup.
He threw the ball, he handed off the ball, and he ran the ball himself, and the Eskimos took just over 2.5 minutes to score the game's first touchdown. Now Marco Sinkar gets into Edmonton's first kickoff. Mark Guy is at the other end of it. Riders have him in this game ahead of Jeff Bentram because of his speed, and he uses some of that to get past the 40-yard line. In fact, the Riders will start from the very same place that Edmonton did, the 41.
I think it tells you something early. Any football team, any athlete, right there from the 4-yard line in, people are doing. Reggie Taylor, they're scrambling to make the blocks. It's that passion that a couple of the coaches have mentioned. Watch this. He's just going to rip it. I'm going to get it in the end zone. Ambrose knocking people back 5 yards.
Taylor, the leading rusher in the regular season with over 1,500 yards. Ted Austin sees a blitz right off the bat, throws over it, and his receivers seem to get held up. It was Ray Elgard back in the lineup.
I think there was enough pressure on Austin to begin with coming into this football game. They knew they didn't want to get behind. They knew they had to hold on to the football, keep it away from the Edmonton offense, but to come back on the field after Edmonton has literally dominated that first 2.5 minutes.
That's right. Well, emotionally, like we said, Edmonton right away has diffused some of that early emotion that Saskatchewan's come out with.
Narcisse and Guy, the wide receivers, Fairholm and Elgard, both back in the slots. There is a flag. The Eskimos left early. and didn't appear to be drawn off. Austin is sacked, but the penalty flag will have something to do with what happens next.
You know, one thing that the Eskimos don't do is they really don't give you a chance at a second shot at throwing that ball. They're blitzing, they send people, they show you so many different looks.
Legal procedure, Saskatchewan 44, declined.
That if you don't have they give you so many different looks and so many different blitzes that unless you get that ball away on time like Austin does, he's in the shotgun to buy more time, he has to pull that ball down, start running around, it's all over.
It was Roger Aldag who drew the Eskimos offside. A good call, which means the sack stands, and that means that Terry Baker will punt. High snap and a low kick by Baker. One bounce to Tony Hunter. Over 1,000 yards punt returners through the season, and not much there. Here's what Edmonton has on offense, and in a word, it's everything. Taylor and Marshall, you saw them in the opening drive with Tracy Ham at quarterback. Hunter and Wright are the wide receivers, two great slot backs, Craig Ellis and Tom Richards. And up front, a veteran offensive line. In the middle, Rod Conniff, the top offensive lineman in the West this season. Conniff will snap it to Ham, 47-yard line, Edmonton territory. The Eskimos trying to build on a quick 7-0 lead. And Marshall has that initial burst to get a couple of yards away from midfield.
Blake Marshall, the ball carrier.
Riders have to stop them with this group. Bobby Jurison, Gary Lewis, Klingbeil for James Curry, who's no longer a rider, and Vince Goldsmith. Albright back in the middle, Lowe and Rasevich the linebackers. And in the secondary, missing is Albert Brown in the corner. Steve Wiggins is up at the top there. Harry Skipper the other side. Gain of 4 for Marshall. All sorts of time for Ham. Now he has to worry and hurry and throws, and Taylor dives, and oh, he was really clobbered while in midair. Good thing Reggie Taylor gets up as two number 26s collided.
Well, there's good contact downfield. Taylor tried to release to the inside, was jammed. There goes Taylor up the middle. Now he'll make an adjustment. He'll come back down the seam. Watch the offensive linemen, Conniff and Ambrose, work when Ham gets out of the pocket. They don't just stand there after they've been beaten, or not necessarily beaten, but when the play seems to be drifting away, they work around, find Tracy Ham. And Nick, that's not easy to do for an offensive lineman.
Movement on the line. Corrick gets a good kick away to Richie Hall. Hall, a big hole up the middle. He's taken down at the 30-yard line by Dan Bass. Gary Corrick pointing the other way, indicating that the penalty should be against Saskatchewan.
Of all times, you don't want to go offside. I mean, you've got them to give the ball back to you. You've got to hang in.
Well, now the question is, how close to a first down is this?
Okay. Offside, Saskatchewan number 19.
It's
first
that
down.
close. A first down. And that's the worst kind of penalty. One that takes the ball away from you and gives it back to the other team.
I think a lot of that just because the Saskatchewan defenders are very antsy out there. And again, be ready to play, but don't choke up with emotion.
Ham again getting too much time. Throws it deep. Too deep for the designated import Walter Murray, who's in the game.
The thing that impresses me so far with Tracy Ham is that really in either direction, he's been able to do a tremendous job of throwing the ball downfield, and he's got such a compact, muscular frame. He just muscles that ball down the field. Heck Pache, old gray beard on that offensive line, doing a good job. Bobby Jurison losing contain. He can't do that. They're going to be in trouble if he loses contain, and he knows it right now.
But even in a situation, we saw Jurison take the pass rush square in the middle to try to not lose that gap. Even when they seem to have Tracy Ham as he did there, the guy gets away.
Ham in the pocket. Wide open is Ellis at the 30. Great block, gets him closer to the 25, and Reggie Taylor came back to hit Harry Skipper and help Craig Ellis.
John Gregory said they want to turn Tracy Ham into a drop-back quarterback. In other words, eliminate his scrambling. Well, drop back it is. He's got plenty of time, enough time for Craig Ellis to get away from Suter, come all the way across the formation, make a catch, and pick up a great block by Taylor right there.
Back live, Tracy Ham fumbles the snap from center, picks it up again, and tries to get a yard, and maybe that's all he got, but he did keep possession of the football.
On that previous play, Neil, as you're mentioning, the thing that Ellis does makes him a veteran player is he's running the same direction as that quarterback starts to run, makes the throw easier for the quarterback. He doesn't have to throw across his body.
They have a great line of communication. They have had all year. They've got that second sense. Even other receivers on the football team understand it.
Ham, far side. Hunter is there, catches it and goes out of bounds with a first down near the 10-yard line.
Well, giving a team a second chance, giving the team that you don't want to give a second chance. Again, straight drop back. They're working on Wiggins in the corner.
Yeah, and Tracy Ham is looking right to that side right off the bat. Wiggins has given him lots of room, the receiver lots of room. But when he sees Ham looking over there, he's got to come up and make that play. He's got to crowd that receiver.
Here are the Eskimos at the 10. Ham under a rush, throws it, and basically threw that away. Some complaints from Hunter that he was being held, but I think Ham knew he was going down if he didn't get rid of the ball.
The Riders haven't had success putting pressure on Tracy Ham yet. They did that time by bringing Glenn Suter, the safety, up to the wide side of the field and bringing him where the linebacker would normally and does line up. Take a bit of a chance, but they understand how important it is. They've got to get to him.
Marshall stays in the backfield. Everybody else is out. Ham over the middle, and the ball is too low.
The Roughriders are doing a good job right now. When they're keeping him in the pocket, their defensive backs are buying a lot of time. What happens, of course, is like we said, when Ham gets to improvise, and I know we're blowing his horn a lot early in the game, but he deserves it.
But what would you rather have? Tracy Ham back there with 3, 4, 5 seconds to throw, or let him run out?
I'd rather have him on the sidelines.
You and John Gregory and the rest of the coaching staff.
Well, that's where he is now as Gary Clark comes in to try a field goal of 17 yards. It's good. It's now a 10-0 Edmonton lead. Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network are bringing you the best of the CFL all the way to the Grey Cup.
Well, there's 7 minutes and 25 seconds left in the first quarter, and it's far too soon for the Riders to be sucking air on the sidelines, being tired.
Well, the offense has to stay on the field longer than it did the first time. That'll help. Narcisse with the reception. Kent Austin's first completion. And a flag comes down well after the fact, and Jeff Braswell is right there.
Whether or not he deserves a penalty, you get that reputation, they're going to be looking for you, and if it's a close one, it's going to go against you.
Hearing, number 44, Edmonton, first down, Saskatchewan.
The Eskimos were the most penalized team in terms of yards this season. The only negative statistic you can find when you look at what Edmonton did this season, but it was enough to concern Joe Faragalli coming into this game because he said, well, penalties couldn't keep us from winning 16 of our 18 games. They could keep us from winning a sudden death game. And that penalty certainly didn't help because it put Saskatchewan at the Eskimo 47-yard line. Tim McRae, over 2,000 yards from scrimmage to lead the CFL. That's running and receiving, and here running, he gets inside the Edmonton 40.
Well, as the game goes on, you're going to see the grass get torn up a little bit. McRae has that ability to run. Here come the guards, pulling Aldag, kicking out. He makes the cut right off Aldag. Good block, good step by him. But he runs almost in control. It can get slippery, and I still think we'll see Tim McRae have that ability to gain yards and not slip.
3 backs behind Austin, second down and 2. McRae gets the handoff and the first down. It'll be close, but it looks as though he has it.
Well, that's a good point, Neil. As it gets a little cooler here and as the day gets going along, that field is going to get some ice crystals in it. And it's very important to keep your feet underneath you. So it looks like at times you're taking baby steps out there, but you have to do that. You get out of control, you're not going to get anywhere.
Well, you can't get caught in trying to explode out of one step. I think watching Hector Pate before the game, a good hour and a half testing shoes, he said, you know, you got to be careful. You put too much pressure in that first step, you end up on your nose.
And what happens as this field gets chewed up, it's going to benefit the offensive linemen, and I think it's going to benefit the Edmonton Eskimos offensive line because it's going to slow down that Saskatchewan pass rush. I mean, they led the league with 67 sacks this year, and they're a tough crew, but that's going to take some of their pass rush away at this bad field conditions.
It is a first down at the Edmonton 37. Austin throwing under pressure too high. Narcisse made a great attempt and batted the ball straight up in the air. That might have come down to hurt Saskatchewan because it kept the ball in the area for Edmonton defenders.
From the 37.
Well, we'll see different formations. Austin from the shotgun and straight drop back, but you get a chance to see he really get a chance to plant those 2 feet and get ready to throw from a good throwing position before Brett Williams is in there and forces him out.
Second and 10. The Riders are in Dave Ridgway field goal range, but he'll be kicking into a wind. Over the middle, Elgard reaches up, and the coverage was excellent.
I think that ball could have been, if that had been laid out just a little bit more, I think Ray Elgard, as big and as strong as he is, could have pulled that down. And obviously they're happy to have him back in the lineup because they do love to pass down those seams right along the hash marks there, and that's a big part of their offensive scheme.
Well, the Eskimos can give you the impression that someone's open and have great catch-up. Stuman in. Different stunts up front. We're seeing a lot of different looks and movement from that defensive line.
Here is Ridgway's 44-yard field goal attempt. A lot of power behind that one and accuracy, too. The Riders are on the board. Edmonton 10, Saskatchewan 3. An important score for Saskatchewan to diffuse some of Edmonton's momentum. The Riders would have preferred a touchdown, but the field goal was important, and a 44-yarder wasn't easy for Ridgway. Again, they kick it to the corner and keep it away from the deep men.
Talked about the grass. We've talked about how the conditions are going to change. 3 or 4 different types of shoes. We have a selection. Now, this shoe, multi-cleat, good on grass all the time, and it can be good too when it starts to get cold because these are flexible. They move, so you don't skid as much. Next shoe is called the Shark because of its teeth, I would guess. Better when it gets colder. Still pretty good in slushy weather. A lot of the players are going to the regular shoe, 3/4-inch cleat with a combination of half and 3/4.
Yeah, whatever they're wearing, it's starting to chew up this field, especially in the middle of the field where the Eskimos are now. They're chewing up yardage, too. There's a flag down as the Eskimos are close to a first down with Chris Johnstone's first carry.
You know, you're talking about shoes, Neil. I wouldn't be surprised that at halftime a lot of these guys do go change their shoes. As we mentioned, that field gets harder and slipperier.
Well, some of them have brought different pairs of shoes out, ready to change when the conditions change. See, Elgard, he's going with that spike system, 7 spikes, probably 3/4 inch. And they're big, too. Size 14, 15, not the spike, the shoe size.
Johnstone's first down stands. It was offside. Saskatchewan declined naturally by Edmonton. The Eskimos are close to midfield again with a 10-3 lead. And getting lots of time to throw as he took a little too much of that time. That time as Dan Rasevich, a blitzing linebacker, got him.
Well, that's a nice little deal for the Rough Riders right there because it's an added bonus anytime you bring him down. And you see them again. They've come back a little bit right now, and they're picking up a little bit of momentum defensively. And their offense has got to feel good on the sideline and say, let's keep up our end of this deal.
Loss back to the 47. And they have to go just about to the Saskatchewan 47. Little screen pass to Johnstone, and he's hit hard. Little or no gain on the play. Good defense as Eddie Lowe was there reading that play.
Talking with Joe Farraghelli yesterday, he's quite familiar with some of the Saskatchewan Roughriders because when he was a coach, and one of those people happened to be Eddie Lowe, and he had nothing but praise because his quickness, his ability, both in pass coverage, but the ability to read and close on the ball. That was a classic example of being in coverage, then adjusting and coming up and making the hit.
Good snap to Jerry Card. High punt. He'd like more distance out of it, especially with the help of the wind. And the bounce doesn't really help Edmonton either.
Join us at halftime today. We'll tell you what happened in the CFL East Final, which was played at Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton, and which was won by the Tiger Cats 14-10 over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who got a touchdown from Rick House and little else. We'll also talk with a member of the victorious Tiger Cat team. Halftime, a look at the East Final.
Hams on offense, and right now Dan Bass is on defense for the Edmonton Eskimos. Saskatchewan ball at the Riders' 34-yard line. Austin well protected. Nice catch by James Ellingson for a short gain.
John Gregory's team will give you that turn-back protection look. The quarterback starting to roll one direction. They want to pull the defense that way. Then they try to sneak a receiver back against the grain. Obviously, well scouted by the Eskimo defense.
Shotgun formation. First time we've seen this from Saskatchewan. Ball is almost intercepted, and Stanley Blair is wondering why he didn't catch it.
It almost looked like Blair was the intended receiver. He makes the cut on the ball and comes back.
Coming on the play, Stanley Blair.
And now he's checking it out on the replay machine here at Commonwealth Stadium.
From the 38-yard line.
You know, you talk about the Eskimo defense, and the name Don Matthews comes up a lot, but you can't forget about a guy by the name of Don Southern, who coaches the linebackers and defensive backs. And I don't think you can tag this defense a one-man defense. It's total input, and it's also a great deal of ideas that make these things happen. They're very creative.
That's a good punt by Baker. Hunter has to backpedal near his 30-yard line. Now he's at the 40. Goes backwards, and that is rarely a wise decision. He managed to fight his way back to the 40-yard line, though. Eskimos will have it there. The field position for Edmonton has been great right from the beginning. And, of course, right at the beginning, they marched 69 yards for a touchdown.
And if one thing would concern me about the Eskimos, I get the feeling sometimes when they get off to a quick start, they have a tendency to sag a little bit. You know, in other words, it's the same old thing we've been doing all year. And if they're going to let the Rough Riders get back into this game, it's going to happen, and it may be a lot closer ball game than people think.
The Eskimos also have the ability, when you think they're in a lull, to strike quickly. And maybe that's what they've done here with Reggie Taylor, a good gain of...
For a second down play, and we're going to see the so-called elephants come in for the short yardage team. But even from that formation, we've seen the Eskimos throw a pass to Brett Williams, you know, run the ball, do some different things. Gives you great flexibility when you have good success on first down.
2nd and 2. Rod Conniff to snap it to Tracy Ham. He's got 3 backs behind him. Marshall is the guy you think would get it. He does get it, and the first down as well.
You know, that's a good point, Neil. Their diversity makes them very effective. On the other side of the ball, you look at the Rough Riders, and you figure if you can stop Tim McRae and Don Narcisse, you've got an excellent chance to beat them. But with the Eskimos, it's like if you shut down one guy, they've got all kinds of different ways to go. And the most scary thing about it is the one guy that pulls the trigger, Tracy Ham.
Walter Murray in the game at the top of your screen for Tony Hunter. Keith Wright the other way. Taylor gets the ball, and not much yardage, just past the 50. Reaching for the line of scrimmage.
Well, we've talked about the Eskimos' abilities, but we can't forget about the other guys in white and green, and their linebackers and their ability to pursue. It's not easy trying to chase down the running backs. Albright stepping up in, picks his lane and good lateral movement. Lowe's in there. Richie Hall's up for support. Goldsmith from the corner. I mean, they have the players to shut this team down.
Here come the Riders, just about everybody, and Ham gets rid of the ball to Keith Wright, close to a first down. It looks as though Edmonton will keep the ball as the second quarter begins shortly.
Edmonton Eskimos enjoy a 10-3 lead after the first quarter of the West Final here at Commonwealth Stadium. If there's one play that sticks out in my mind in the first quarter, it was the pass from Austin to Elgard just before the Ridgeway field goal. Saskatchewan has to make the plays when they get the chance, and that time they didn't.
Ham does to Craig Ellis for another Edmonton first down as the Eskimos have moved to the Riders 38 in the first play of the second quarter.
Bob, you make a very good point that when opportunity knocks, especially if it's in a situation when the defense is blitzing, to take advantage. A little bit of a delay. Ellis gets the rush, go by him, and then he waits. Ideally, he wants Hall to leave him just for that 1 second.
Ham is looking deep and now will run. Another good gain for the Eskimos, close to a first down.
Tracy Ham, the ball carrier, close to 10 yards. Brought down by Jerson and Albright. There will be a measurement on the play.
Blocking at the line of scrimmage, you know, Tracy Ham will make that, recognize the situation, then turn it into something very quickly.
Well, he's that one player, again, and we don't want to harp on it, but he's the one guy that makes everything happen, and his ability to spread defense makes him so dangerous. He's going to roll ball himself, throw it, and hand it off, and he's spreading that defense vertically as well as horizontally.
And all coaches know, and I think Joe Faragelli would agree with this if he was coaching against Tracy Ham. You can't shut a guy like that down completely, but you have to take away some of the parts of the game that he does well.
Yeah, you just want to control it more than anything.
Second and short, the Eskimos don't mind this at all. Marshall to the 25 and maybe a yard beyond as the Eskimos get the first down. Anytime you give a team a chance to run a play like that, there's always a chance to get much more yardage, even with the play the Eskimos called. Marshall was close to breaking that one.
Yes, exactly, because they've got a lot of people up in the line of scrimmage, and don't think for 1 minute Marshall can't take it a long way, because all he has to do is get by one hit, and he's gone over many of people.
Now the Eskimos regroup as the Riders blitz on first from the 25. They're all over Tracy Ham. That's everything but the sink in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was great. It was really good to see them. Nobody's given up yet, and again, you're talking about intensity. Klingbeil, Jurison, Lewis, and Goldsmith, those guys will play hard throughout a whole football game. They're bringing a couple extra people, like a Glenn Suter in there, to fill those extra lanes, not allow him anywhere he can't see over that line, not allow him to escape to the perimeter where he buys more time. Just an excellent job that time by the Saskatchewan defense.
If they do it again, yes, sir. Ham has it dropped. And the ball is picked up by the Riders. Bye-bye. Albright, touchdown.
Here comes the pressure. There goes Suter again, but he's picked up. Somebody isn't from the outside. A hit with Tracy Ham. The ball's out and poised. Albright, do I fall on it and make sure we've got the ball, or do I go for the big scoop? He goes for the big scoop and the big run.
And you really don't care how you get those points as long as you get them. And there was no decision to make between Tunao Alapate and David Albright. You go with your veteran player that's been around a long time. He's a plugger. He's a hard-nosed guy that likes to come up and stand up in there. Veteran player did an excellent job.
Convert good, game tied, a big turnover results in Saskatchewan's tying touchdown. Well, if you believe in momentum, it was with Edmonton. It is now with Saskatchewan. Here's Keith Wright returning the kickoff for the Eskimos. Pretty good return to the 42.
Every time Saskatchewan has brought some extra pressure, it seems like Len Suter is involved one way or the other. This time he's up the middle, but the pressure comes from Eddie Lowe. You know, now for once, the Eskimos are having to think about the other side of pressure defense.
Well, sure, they just outmanned them. You know, okay, we'll pick up Suter this time, but they still had to let somebody go. And again, Eddie Lowe is not a big man, but he sure knows how to hit because he's got tremendous form.
And anytime you expose yourself defensively by bringing people like Suter, like the outside linebacker, there is something there in the defense. It's not always easy to find, mind you, and Tracy Ham probably knew it was coming, but couldn't recognize it quickly enough.
Well, sure, there's a trade-off. Does he escape, buy time, and throw to somebody in the open and make the big play? Or do you get to him before he has a chance to do that? Obviously, you've got to gamble a bit in a situation like this, especially if the team's moving the ball on you. They, in my opinion, they did the right thing, and you can certainly expect a lot more of it.
Well, that's a big call by you. They did the right thing. They only got a touchdown.
Hey, regardless, any way that you get them right now, it's extremely important, and it's extremely important for them to just keep playing along with Edmonton here. And like I said, the longer this game goes on, and the longer they stay in this game close, they got a tremendous chance to pull it off at the end there. So
Wayne Drinkwalder is the injured Saskatchewan Roughrider. He's up now and leaving the field as the Eskimos go back on offense. They were moving the ball so effectively until Saskatchewan decided the all-out blitz was the only thing that could prevent Edmonton points, and lo and behold, it produced 7 Saskatchewan points.
Well, they didn't get, they weren't getting much pressure on Tracy Ham with just their standard rush. So he figures, what do we got to lose? Bring a couple extra guys, and if somebody gets through, good things can happen.
Well, John Gregory said to us yesterday that I think we're going to have to score 30 points or more in this football game, and I had the feeling, I think we all did coming into it, that this was going to be a high-scoring game.
Well, saying he needs 30 also makes you think that Edmonton, on average, scores 36. So, indeed, 30 might not be enough. Taylor lost the ball. He was last to touch it, and it will be Edmonton football, though the Riders doth protest.
You got an aroused bunch of Rough Riders out there right now. Bobby Jerson's over there, and he's trying to influence certainly the referee's decision. And that arm tackling is not going to stop, it's usually not going to stop Reggie Taylor, but it will do is if he doesn't tuck it away, you can pull that ball loose.
No, but look, notice how quickly Steve Crane, 38, got into the backfield. They got penetration to disrupt the play.
Well, there's a loss on the play. 4-yard loss. Ham over the top. Picked off. Another big play by Eddie Lowe.
Pick off by Eddie Lowe, but once again, the Riders' defense. Len Suter from his safety spot. He comes up the middle again. You're going to see him come into your screen. He's picked up, but they try to take advantage of that open area. Talked about Eddie Lowe being able to go to the football. What a great job of coverage and then reacting to the ball.
You got it, Stan. You got it.
Well, this has not only got Saskatchewan back in the game, this crowd is fully in the game now. The fans for both teams. Ellingson with the reception. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have awakened the people from Edmonton and Saskatchewan.
Yeah, they did a good job of withstanding that early touchdown, and it's mark of a team that's starting to mature, definitely, and starting to show some poise. They didn't fold their tent. They came right back and playing excellent defense right now, and they're right in it.
Into the corner for Fairholm, just over his head. Mark Mathis was covering him, and the ball boy was part of that play. He couldn't get off the field in time because he dropped the ball leaving, and the ball thrown by Kent Austin was thrown right near where he was.
And good fortune, no one tripped over it. Tracy Ham trying to probably regroup not only his thoughts, but his offense. They talk on the sidelines, go from one another, say, okay, hey, we'll get back on the field. And
I think he's rattled right now. I do.
A little.
I think he is.
The best completion percentage in the league this season. Over 56%, and That wasn't his fault that he didn't get another completion there. Well thrown to Ellingson, who dropped it. Now there's a flag down well away from the play.
Well, we've got Braswell downfield on Fairholm coverage. Clay ended, the ball was incomplete and dropped. Braswell stayed on Fairholm, and then something happened after that.
He's going to be penalized again. The Eskimos will complain that the officials look too closely at Jeff Braswell. Other teams will complain that that's exactly what they should do.
Before Edmonton, first down Saskatchewan. We'll also notice that Saskatchewan has gone into that hurry-up offense. They're doing that hopefully to try to disrupt the Eskimo defense, to stop calls or any changes from coming in from the sideline.
That's right. The Eskimos have to keep things simple. They don't have time to call a lot of blitzes because of the pace of the game right now.
Braswell has cost the Eskimos 30 yards on 2 penalties. Austin to McCray, beats 2 men and gets near the 5. It'll be first and goal, Saskatchewan.
The man that has to get going in order for them to have success. Tim McCray, when he's handling the ball either as a receiver or as a running back, good things happen. He's just had a banner year, and his production in terms of total yardage is well over 2,600 yards. He's just been such a big part of their success this year.
First and goal just outside the 5. Austin wide open is Elgard for the touchdown.
Having Ray Elgard back in the offense changes things around, I would think, defensively. They can't afford to double cover too many people because he's a threat. Watch him in practice the other day. He had a knee brace on. He's not going to wear it in the game. It's only taped. He's an important factor in that group of offensive players.
Yeah, he's a John Gregory type of player, I believe. Hard-nosed and realizes all the marbles are on the line. I've got a hurt or I'm not 100%. I still have to play because it is an emotional lift to the team.
The Riders lead for the first time in the game, and this CFN playoff game is brought to you by Foster's Lager, proud sponsor of the 1989 Grey Cup game. Are getting used to receiving kickoffs, and it's something they're not used to all season long. Tony Hunter returns this one past the 45-yard line, and the Eskimos now try to handle a Saskatchewan defense that's causing them nothing but problems.
As a game, as we've talked about a couple of times, but it is an important part of the football game. Your footwear. As the conditions change, the day goes on, the players will adapt by changing their footwear. Ellingson right there, a classic example. Looks like he's going back to the regular cleat instead of the multi-cleated shoe.
The Riders giving every indication they're going to come with another blitz. Taylor carries the ball to the 50-yard line. Aggressive is the word to describe Saskatchewan in defense now.
Without question, and when you've had success blitzing, what you can do is play with it a little bit now. Fake the blitz. Now you get them thinking, and you can throw the offense off a bit. What the Eskimos have done so successfully all year. Hurt you with it, and then make you think about it even when you're not coming.
If Tracy Ham has a weakness, the book, amongst other coaches, says he doesn't read and recognize as well as some more experienced quarterbacks. He throws it much too far now. Ellis doesn't even bother trying for that one. As Ham, a bit rattled perhaps with the rush that time, wanting to make sure he wasn't hit, sacked, or forced to fumble it again, threw it away.
Well, he's definitely getting happy feet in the pocket. He doesn't look real comfortable in there right now, and he's looking to bail out. And well, the other thing that they're doing, they're keeping him contained, but they're squeezing the pocket down in around him and putting a lot of hands and arms in his face. Makes it tough to throw. You can't see downfield.
Cover now. Turn over.
End-over-end ball by Corrick, and a good bounce. Guy over there quickly, he's got to pick it up first. Now he does. And the Eskimos gave him a few yards along the sidelines and then roused their fans with the tackle on Mark Guy. Saskatchewan leading, and the Riders have the ball. Commonwealth Stadium. Some urging the Riders on, others hoping the Eskimos can stop them. Wilson Jones lost his footing and maybe a yard to go with it.
Yes, this is a point in the game where I'd like to see how the Eskimo defense responds to what's been happening so far. Like we mentioned earlier, sometimes it almost seems like if the Eskimos get off to a good start, they go into a shell or a lull, and maybe they need a slap in the face like this to wake them back up.
Shotgun for Saskatchewan. Four-man rush Eskimos. Austin over the middle, great pass to Fairholm. Couldn't have been better thrown, and Jeff Fairholm, sure hands, caught it at the other end.
Oh, when we talked with John Gregory yesterday, he believes that we can't nick or he can't nickel and dime the Eskimo defense and win by throwing the ball short to your backs all the time. He's got to get it downfield. To do that, we need time. And for that, we're going to do in the shotgun. Fairholm needed time to come across the zone there to get open.
First down Riders from the 42. They hand the ball to McCray, and he gets nothing. Bass right around the football as usual.
When you play a blitzing type of defense, you have to have all the gaps covered. If you have all the gaps covered, a lot of times you can outman the offensive team. Exactly what happened. Danny Bass, as he's done for so many years, just shooting that gap, making a big play behind the line.
Loss of a yard back to the 40, and back to the shotgun go the Riders. This time the Eskimos will blitz. It's picked up well. Another good pass, but Fairholm can't handle this one as two Eskimo defenders get to him when the ball does.
Austin, I believe, wanted to get the ball off a little bit earlier. You will see, watching Fairholm here, a great shot of when he's going to come open. Right now. But the ball's a little bit late. Gives Wilson a chance to come over from his spot out of his coverage and make the play, or at least disrupt the play.
Terry Baker's third down punt with 6.5 minutes left in a good first half. It's been good for both teams. First for Edmonton, then for Saskatchewan. Hunter, right at the sidelines, can do nothing but step out at the 25-yard line. Edmonton takes the ball there with 6:27 to go.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see now in this offensive series if they start to do some play action and getting Tracy Ham to roll out to the perimeters of that Saskatchewan defense and see if he feels more comfortable trying to execute from that particular situation.
In many situations when the Eskimos have been rattled, both this year and in the past, they will go back to their bread and butter. Their bread and butter, as you said, Nick, is rolling out, throwing the ball quickly to the slots and to the backs.
Here they come again, and Ham has to get outside. Now he is, and he is going to run, but the Riders do a pretty good job of making sure he doesn't run too far.
Definitely took a pretty good hit there, and again, he's squat, very muscular player, but I'm sure that every time he's going to be out there and exposed like that, they're not going to want to take a chance on him taking too many hits like that. And right now, with as many people as Saskatchewan is blitzing, the Eskimos are having a hard time picking up the blitz or throwing that quick short pass to take advantage of the blitz.
Scrimmage now are very close to it, and hands the ball to Taylor, and he bursts up the middle. It's a foot race. Reggie Taylor will be caught, but he gets inside the 30-yard line. The ground caused the fumble. Forget that. First down, 29. There are ways to defeat the blitz.
And when you do defeat the blitz, you do it big time. Plays change. Taylor comes over. Look at the blocking. Lowe's so concerned with Tracy Ham, he ignores Taylor. Offensive lineman Randy Ambrose, Connor. They make that situation.
Back live for a completion to Craig Ellis. He's inside the 20, and that's close to another Edmonton first down.
Well, you know, you're right, Neil, because when you had, as David mentioned, you got 9 guys up on the line, you get past that first wave, you don't have much in the way of support, and that's exactly what happens here. So much concern over what the quarterback can do. Just a quick little hitter right up the middle, and it's a foot race after that.
What a great job of blocking at the point by Rod Conop, who takes all Albright, who hits him in the face and really just out-muscles him and turns him to the outside. And with Eddie Lowe just looking at Tracy Ham, Reggie Taylor's just saying, see you later.
The subsequent play, the pass to Ellis, produced another Edmonton first down. Here they come again. Ham throws it up. Ellis is out of room. Makes the catch, but well out of bounds. So the Riders are going to live or die with the blitz, it appears. The big run by Taylor didn't stop them from doing it again.
Well, that was a classic example of putting pressure on a quarterback, not getting to him, but not allowing him to throw the ball when he wanted to. Ellis was open earlier, had to throw the ball a little bit later because Tracy Ham had to move. Subsequently, Ellis goes a little bit further downfield, makes the catch, but he's out of bounds.
Second and 10 from the 17. Ham buys himself some more time, throws it up, incomplete. The Eskimos want a penalty flag as Craig Ellis, or Chris Johnstone it was knocked down, but no flag comes.
Well, the hit was made by David Albright, and I think what Albright was trying to do, as you will see here, is time his contact when the ball gets there. Tracy Ham flush, left or right. Watch him swing those shoulders around and stretch it out.
The Eskimos and their fans continue to complain as Jerry Park tries to put 3 points on the board. It's good, and Edmonton comes away with a field goal. Here's Bob Irving.
Well, Dave, we'd like to invite everybody to join us next Sunday on CFN for the Grey Cup game. We know the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be there against either the Eskimos or the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Game day at 4 and kickoff time 6 Eastern time from the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Hector Pothier visibly upset. The helmet always comes off, but he rarely talks. Here it is. There's the hit.
Yeah, right here. You could make the argument that it was an uncatchable ball.
I think that's the only argument.
Well, Johnstone was not going to be able to come back with Albright's face and shoulder pads there to make a catch. I mean, it's a judgment call, and not much else you can say. Referee's down there, we're up here.
Eskimos kicking to the sidelines. McCray will wisely watch it go out of bounds and bring the penalty flag.
You see on these kickoffs, both teams are trying to do what they call a burner. Just put that ball up real high and get your fastest guys on the outside to try and run down, because it is a fair ball. It's anybody's ball, and if you get a chance to, the guy's asleep a little bit, you got a chance to pick that up.
John Gregory now feels his football team is competitive. He said last year the guys were happy to make the playoffs. But this year, he said, it's not so much that we weren't happy, but we didn't show it like we did last year. We expected, as he puts it, to be in the playoffs this year. We expect to go in and win. And I think that attitude, the way John Gregory puts it, is a very healthy one, as it should be.
Sincar keeps this one in the middle of the field, and McCray has it at the 35, 40, past the 45-yard line to the 48. Good field position for Saskatchewan with 4 minutes to go. Another thing that John Gregory liked was the recent trend, or so it would seem, that visiting teams can win playoff games more than home teams can. That's the way it's been the last couple of years in the CFL. He took some confidence from that.
Well, and I think, not counting the game in Hamilton today, 7 out of the last 8 playoff games have been won by the visitors, David. You're right, and he said, I don't like statistics much, but this one I don't mind at all.
Austin will roll out. Boy, he's putting the right stuff on the footballs. Ken Austin's passes have been pinpoint. Don Narcisse with the catch for the first down.
Well, Austin rolling out gives Narcisse a chance to go downfield and try to get away from the very tight coverage of Stanley Blair. He works him down. Now he plants and cuts back. When he plants, as you can see, Stanley Blair slips a little bit. The advantage in this situation goes to the receiver.
McCray, and that offensive line gives him the first 3 or 4 yards for free as he gets near the 40.
But what Saskatchewan's doing with their rushing attack right now is that they're zone or area blocking everything out there. In other words, because the Eskimos stunt and move around so much, rather than worrying about blocking a specific man, block to an area, step together, block to an area, and McCray will get in behind those linemen and pick up yards.
From the 41, the Riders pitch it to McCray, and he makes a first down to the 35-yard line. The sticks will move. The clock is stopped with 2:45 to go. Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network are bringing you the best of the CFL all the way to the Grey Cup.
In Canada, the male will try to entice the female by staging a colorful display. It's called strutting your stuff. Molson Canadian, the clean, cold taste of a genuine Canadian beer. What beer's all about.
Capitalistic love of money is the root of all evil. Suddenly, you are out of the red. Evil? That's a bit strong. Suddenly, it could happen to you.
Next time you play your favorite lotto game, be sure to play the plus. It could turn better odds into $100,000 and $100,000 into anything you want. Say yes to the plus.
Plastic money, plastic trees, plastic flowers on plastic tables. It's a plastic world.
Chicken?
Chicken? Real chicken. Taste. Thanks. I wanted real chicken taste.
2 minutes and 45 seconds remain in the second quarter. Saskatchewan has a 4-point lead, has a first down at the Edmonton 35-yard line. And what a lift it would be for the Riders to go to the dressing room with any kind of lead. But if they could get a touchdown here and go in with a lead in double figures. Wilson Jones had position, but couldn't get the ball. Covering him, Greg Stuman.
It's a situation where Saskatchewan shows a sprint out where fullback Milson Jones goes up to one side or the other on the offensive line. He's on the right side of the screen, waits for the blitz to come, and then releases knowing that he can get position. Pretty good coverage right there, even though it was a tug of a shirt.
More than a tug. I would say he had a handle on him all the way down the field pretty well.
Second and 10 from the Edmonton 35. Austin's getting time to throw. Narcisse can't get to it. Stanley Blair shielding him down the sideline. Third down, and Ridgway will try a three-pointer.
Enos Jackson, who had a marvelous year in the secondary for the Eskimos, got hurt a few weeks ago. He's being replaced by 13 Mark Mathis. Talking to Joe Farraghelli about Mathis and Enos Jackson about in their training camp and their performance, he said they were dead equal. It was almost like we had to flip a coin to who was going to start the year. Mathis lost out early in the year, but through an injury now has an opportunity.
There is some wind for Ridgway, though he kicked a longer field goal than this into that wind, and it's blocked, and that's the best way to stop it. Andre Francis got there, and that's the first really big play that Edmonton has had on defense.
Well, for years now, it's been pretty well documented. Andre Francis is one of the fastest, if not the fastest, depending who you talk to, in the CFL. And you see how he dips his shoulder, cuts that corner. When he gets his shoulder down, they don't bump him as well, and then he just blows across the area where the ball's going to go.
That's right. You don't round it off when you come around the corner. You flat it. You know, it's the shortest distance between 2 points. You just flatten out once you clear that line and turn your body to present a larger target.
Throws it deep, again too deep. Hunter was coming back to the ball, and Ham was throwing it over his head.
Well, Tracy Ham got everything he wanted to until he threw the football. play action got Bob Jurison to step down inside. He didn't have a personal protector, be it a guard, to come out and protect him. So up to that point, everything was fine.
Yeah, Tracy Ham is frustrated, okay? And he's a young guy, and I'm going to see how's this going to affect him the rest of the ball game. You know, one thing with a veteran quarterback, if it doesn't go right, you try and relax, regroup, we're in this ball game. His frustration right now might not present itself in positive ways in his performance. He's got to guard against that.
Here comes the Saskatchewan blitz again. Ham being chased by big Gary Lewis. Ham throws. Taylor can't get it. Would have been a first down, but Ham threw it a little too high.
Tracy Ham.
Oh, you get a shot at Tracy Ham, you better get him. Because ultimately, you go for the inside hit. He has that great ability, and you watch exactly what he does here. Backs pick up the blitz perfectly. He steps back and comes around. Now downfield. The receivers adjust.
And what's surprising me, though, he hasn't really done much to take advantage of the fact that they're blitzing an extra man. If you don't pick him up, anytime they blitz, they're leaving some area of the field open, and the receivers have to make that adjustment a lot quicker.
Clock stop with 2:02 to go. The Riders are going to get their hands on the ball again, and they should be in decent field position to think again about trying to go in with a lead of more than the current 4 points. Richie Hall up to meet the ball. He goes down at the 47, 48-yard line, they say. It's Saskatchewan ball right there.
Linebackers are a different breed to begin with, whether they're playing on defense or they're special teams. And Mike McLean is one of the better ones. There's Marshall and McLean, both leaders. A quick look up. The one thing you don't want to do is look up and get your bell knocked off. Good pursuit. When he's in the game as a linebacker, he does a good job, and he is, again, one of those leaders on special teams.
Austin Stewman has him. The ball is picked off by Stuart Hill. Bang, bang, back-to-back turnovers for Edmonton.
You get the feeling, let sleeping dogs lie, and they've definitely been aroused the last couple of series. You know, when I talked to Joe Galat about who did you miss the most in the completion of that trade with Matt Donegan, he says, Braswell, we felt we could replace. Andre Francis, we felt we could replace. But the one guy that was an impact player, we really hurt us, is Greg Stewman. We didn't want to lose him, and we're really sorry that we did lose him.
Well, and someone else is going to be lost. Austin's down, you can see. Tremendous discomfort. I'm sure he's upset. Not only he's hurt, but what happened in the play. Tom Burgess right there, he'll begin to warm up. You know, when you've got impact players come on your football team, you've already got guys like Stuart Hill. You just stack the deck. Interesting situation. The blitz continues to come. Right place and the right time for Stuart Hill. He's had a great year.
You know, it's almost predictable with all the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been through this season that they wouldn't get through this game without another key player being hurt. They got Elgard back, and Fairholm, and Jones, and Albright, and now it looks as though quarterback Kent Austin may be leaving this game for a while.
And John Gregory felt good about their chances with a healthy lineup. Said, we can play with these guys. And I believe that the Roughriders today firmly believe that. Now, how will they respond to Tom Burgess? He started off very hot. He started the season very hot. Struck me as a bit of a streak thrower. Had some problems. Austin got in, and now, you know, you've got to rely on this guy to take you to the end.
Gregory's first concern, though, is stopping Edmonton short of the end zone with a minute 48 left in this half. The Eskimos now with a chance to take the lead to the dressing room. Offside Saskatchewan. The blitz came too early. Ham will throw it deep. Up there is Richards, and a good defensive play. Two men covering. It looked to be Wiggins that got his hand in front of Tom Richards at the last minute, but of course the penalty will give Edmonton 5 yards.
Well, a great defensive play is going to be wiped out by an offside by number 27, Suter, who's coming up, who's been in different spots on defense and come. And now the concern on, at least on the sidelines, you got to keep Edmonton out of the end zone, and we got to find out what's wrong with Kent Austin. And they seem to be looking at that knee shin area.
They almost had the blitz beaten, but for the good play by Wiggins. 1st and 5. Ham on the run. Fires. intercepted. Turnovers continuing to go back and forth, and the Eskimos get no points out of this. Two big defensive plays. All they did was deny 3 points to Saskatchewan with the blocked field goal. Larry Hogue with the latest important defensive play.
Anytime they're going to bring Suter out of the middle, you figure that obviously the Eskimos realize there's a hole open in the middle. They're trying to throw that ball down inside there. This time Suter just sits back to make a good play.
Saskatchewan changed up their routine there. Suter dropped off, and Larry Hogue came from the backside and forced Tracy Ham to throw the ball early.
Burgess in the game for Austin. McCray reaching for the 27-yard line. At that, he is 3 yards short of a first down.
We'll be all right. 1099, we're trying to come on. McCray, the ball carrier, picks up 8 yards.
It's got to be fun for a defensive back to get involved in the rushing and the blitzing of the defensive scheme.
Oh, sure. It makes them feel like one of the big boys there. Yeah, I get it. I get to mix it up with the big guys in there.
You get the impression that leading at halftime is not quite as important as leading after the fourth quarter, but both of these teams really want to have the lead when they leave this field. Here's a big play toward that end. McCray stopped short of the first down. I don't think the Riders would gamble on third down.
For a very split second, that gap was open. And then about a millisecond later, number 30, Danny Bass and Braswell were there. Right now, it looks open. But boy, those guys get to the ball and get to it quickly. Those two, Braswell and Bass.
Well, that's their job. The lineman's job is to take on the blockers, fill the gaps, and they're going to flow to where the ball is. And, I mean, if a guy's been around 10 years, he should be, that's his #1 priority, and he does an excellent job.
Well, maybe they will gamble. They're closer than I thought initially. And this is how much they want to lead at halftime. They will go on third down to make sure that Edmonton doesn't get the ball back with over a minute to go.
Interesting call.
Gregory's 5 yards out in the field, telling something to somebody.
And an early start to the dressing room for Ken Austin. He already has ice on that knee.
Well, if they ever miss this, it could be a play we talk about for a long time. Burgess has stood up at the line and forced back, but look where they're going to put the ball. I think he's got it. I think they're going to give him it right at the 30-yard line. A very favorable spot to Saskatchewan. They didn't think he got that far.
They've had a lot of trouble this year. 19 times they've given the ball away on second or third and short. That's the second worst situation in the league in the giveaway takeaway department. 19 times they haven't been able to do that, and they're awful darn lucky right there, in my opinion.
Interesting spot.
I didn't think he got to the 30-yard line, and the replay didn't indicate that, but the official put it there, and now the Riders will wipe their brows and say thank goodness for that, and probably protect the ball for 40 more seconds. Ken Austin, of course, will get to the dressing room first, quite unfortunately.
Well, it's an expression that goes around, I'm sure, not only football, but a lot of sports. The better you are, the luckier you are. Saskatchewan must feel pretty good right now because they're darn lucky to get that first down.
Well, they're going to try to throw it deep. Austin, or Burgess rather, pulls it down and goes for a first down to the 40-yard line.
Don't you think Burgess adds that dimension maybe that Austin didn't have, is being able to get downfield like a Tracy Ham, not the same as, but like Tracy Ham?
Yeah, he does that for him, but I don't think John Gregory's too excited right now about him running down the field. If he gets rattled pretty good, they're in serious trouble.
That'd be a good question. Who would be the third guy or their third quarterback, if in fact that did happen?
They will look at Ken Austin's right knee at halftime. Ligament damage is suspected, and now after looking to throw on second down, they just let the clock run out with the first down and do take the lead to the dressing room. Saskatchewan 17, Edmonton 13 at the half.
Well, there is some surprise, I guess, at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, a 4-point lead at halftime of the CFL West Final. Reggie Taylor got the Eskimos off and running. They marched the ball all the way down the field and scored first to go ahead 7-0. Jerry Corrick made it 10-0. But then the Saskatchewan Roughriders came back. Dave Ridgway with a long field goal, as he has done so often this season. Then David Albright, a turnover costing the Eskimos. Albright going all the way for a touchdown to tie it. Elgard, and this came after an Eddie Lowe interception, and Saskatchewan had a 7-point lead. And then the Eskimos with a Jerry Corrick field goal. And it's a 4-point game at halftime. Saskatchewan in front. The Roughriders have been unable to throw, or rather able to throw Tracy Ham off his game. And, of course, turnovers have hurt the Eskimos. The CFL East Final was played earlier today, and it saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats score a come-from-behind 14-10 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers took control of the game early, or at least went ahead of the game. Lee Saltz threw an 87-yard pass-and-run touchdown to veteran slotback Rick House. The Bombers led 8-4 at halftime. They squandered some other scoring chances. Kennard missed some field goals. And Mike Kerrigan, in relief of Todd Dillon, threw a touchdown pass to Wally Zatilny in the fourth quarter. That put Hamilton in front. And then Paul Osbaldiston added a field goal to give Hamilton a 4-point edge. The Tiger Cats celebrate and carry their coach, Al Bruno, off the field when that game was over. 13 first downs for each team, and the net offense very close. Winnipeg with one more turnover in a game that was dominated by the defenses. So the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be in the Grey Cup at the Sky Dome on Sunday, and we'll come back and talk with Tiger Cat head coach Al Bruno in just a moment.
Ron Midall is going. Bob and Sheila Webb are going. Bob Lowe's is going. These are some of the 100 lucky people who won trips for two to the Grey Cup and a chance at winning $50,000 with the First and Goal Instant Lottery. By uncovering the words MVP Grey Cup entry on a First and Goal ticket, they were eligible for our draw. In our fourth draw of November 9th, these 25 lucky entries were drawn by our guest, Bud Irving, former CFL player and game official. Each of these MVP winners will fly via Canadian Airlines to Toronto, stay 3 nights at the Holiday Inn downtown, have 2 seats for the Grey Cup game in the fabulous Sky Dome, $500 spending money, plus a pair of 1990 season tickets for the CFL team of their choice. In addition, on November 26th, the 100 MVP draw winners will take part in a spectacular Grey Cup Day draw. 8 finalists will be chosen. Each will receive a 1990 Ford Thunderbird and will be matched with a CFL team. The excitement builds as 2 finalists, matched with the CFL teams in the Grey Cup, compete for the grand prize. The person matched with the Grey Cup runner-up will win $5,000, while the person matched with the Grey Cup champions will win $50,000. There are still many more chances to win on the popular $2 instant lottery First and Goal. You could win up to $50,000 on instant football and up to $5,000 on Game of the Week. If you missed your chance to join these lucky winners to the Grey Cup, you still have a chance to win a 1990 Ford Thunderbird in a 5th MVP draw to be held December 20th. Tickets are still available at participating lottery retailers across Western Canada. First and Goal, the lottery for people who play to win. The last draw is December 20th, 1989.
The new Kodiak Voyageurs. They're lightweight, incredibly comfortable, great looking. Oh, and did we mention waterproof? Kodiak, Canada's boot.
The collar, the cup, the look of a winner. Leo Chevalier.
Bulova. For her, for him, for the both of you. Bulova. Fashioning tomorrow's timepieces for over 100 years. See your Bulova jeweler soon. Well, Edmonton or Saskatchewan will play Hamilton in the Grey Cup Sunday at the Sky Dome in Toronto. The Tiger Cats beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East Final today, 14-10. Head coach of the Ticats, Al Bruno, congratulations. You won it the hard way, coming from behind.
Even though Bob, I'm smiling from ear to ear now, hey, it was a tough defensive struggle. Our defense come up big. It was a matter of who's going to kick more field goals. But today, it belonged to the coaching staff and the defense, and we scored just enough points to win. Special teams, Paul Folsom, it was a team effort, but I'll tell you, the defense come up big today.
Al, is it the kind of game you expected, a low-scoring game?
Yes, I did. I thought both defenses played well during the course of the season. Our defense played well the last 3 games, and I knew it was going to be a defense struggle, a punting game, because we had to go along too with the elements. The weather wasn't that great.
And I know you did not expect it to be an easy game. The Bombers, despite their 7-11 record, were going to give you a rough time today.
Oh, they did the same thing in Toronto. In playoff football, you forget about the record. They played good football. Bud Riley did a good job, or I should say Mike Riley did a great job of getting his players ready. They played tough. We played tough. It was a defensive struggle.
Al, one thing you had today that they didn't have late in the game, particular with your team, was the running of McAdoo. They couldn't get a running game going at all.
I think both teams, Jesse, McAdoo, didn't do a lot of running. We got the odd big playoff on the pass, but defense was the name of the game today.
You went to Kerrigan in the second half. Why?
Well, Dylan fell off a little bit second quarter. We stopped moving the ball, and I wanted to get a change in there, and we thought, well, if Kerrigan couldn't do it again for us, we put Dylan back in. But the way it turned out, he scored a touchdown, got a great catch by Satilny, a great crucial field goal by Ospolison. Then our defense did the rest.
Obvious question, who do you hope to play in the Grey Cup?
We really don't care, but the players, I know, would like to meet Edmonton. Nothing against Gregory in Saskatchewan, but whoever it is, you know, we don't care who it is, but I think the players like to see Edmonton again.
Congratulations, Al Bruno. We will see you and the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Grey Cup next weekend in Toronto.
Thank you very much, Bob.
We look forward to seeing Al and the Ticats and their fans at the 77th Grey Cup, the first one at the Sky Dome in Toronto next Sunday. Game day on CFN, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and we'll kick off the ball right around 6 o'clock, heading for prime time.
We're in Edmonton. The Saskatchewan Roughriders leading the Eskimos 17-13 at halftime of the West Final. And the key play of the first half that tied the game saw Tracy Ham hit by Eddie Lowe. David Albright able to pick up the fumble, and he took it 67 yards for a Saskatchewan touchdown that tied the game and really changed the momentum in the first half, and Saskatchewan went on to take the lead. One of the things that really sticks out in that first half is the turnover department. The Eskimos on the season were plus 40 in the turnover department, and Saskatchewan was minus 21. A great edge for Edmonton, but today turnovers have really hurt the Eskimos, and in a one-game shot, that kind of thing can happen. Let's get more thoughts on the game from Dave, Nick, and Neil.
Well, you fellas were almost right on before the game. You talked about handling the blitz being important, but you talked about Saskatchewan handling Edmonton's blitz. The question now is, can Edmonton handle Saskatchewan's blitz?
Well, I think the thing that's key is very necessary to happen is that Tracy Ham has to keep scrambling and moving out of the pocket. He's not a great pocket thrower, but he's such a good athlete that if he escapes, gets to run around, buy some time, he can make a lot of things happen just by sheer athletic ability. You know, as the game goes on, or when a game is finished, players often look back and what might be an important factor. Right here, the outstanding effort by Francis blocking that attempted field goal could come back to haunt them. Might have been 1 point that could have been enough, could have been 3 if it had been successful. Be interesting to see when it's over if that point would have made a difference.
Well, the Eskimos are happy they kept those 3 points off Saskatchewan's side of the scoreboard, but unhappy that that turnover and the Stuart Hill interception didn't produce points for Edmonton. Edmonton led the league in giveaway takeaway, but is losing this battle of turnovers to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, although the Eskimos do have more than twice as many net yards as Saskatchewan. That tells you just how important the turnovers have been. And 2 of those 3 penalties against Edmonton were against Jeff Braswell, and it doesn't help Edmonton that they have lost 25 net yards in penalties to Saskatchewan. Tom Burgess will be the Saskatchewan quarterback, we suspect, in the second half, and we'll have to wonder just what that does to the Riders. Though he was clearly the first stringer coming into this season, he hasn't been that since about midway through the campaign.
I don't think it'll make a a bit of difference at all. The Eskimos are comfortable with Tracy Ham and probably Rick Warman, and I think the Riders feel the same about their two quarterbacks, and I think even more so because of the way Burgess started this season.
Nick, what happens at halftime in the Edmonton dressing room? What might they be talking about concerning the blitz and the ways to prevent it?
Like I said, they probably tell Tracy Ham to roll out a little bit more, buy himself some time to escape that blitz. And also, it's very important for the backs and the receivers to read the same things that Tracy Ham reads and immediately look for the ball to come in their direction if there's a blitz on it.
I think obviously he's going to buy more time. That's the way he plays football. I think Edmonton will try to hurt Saskatchewan by picking something up very quickly. And speaking of old quarterbacks, or not old quarterbacks, I shouldn't tell him I said John Hufnagel was old. He drove up from Calgary today to see this one.
Again, the Eskimos kick it to the sidelines, and Brian Walling, a former Eskimo, has a pretty good return back to the 43-yard line. Rider ball to start the second half. Today's CFN playoff game from Edmonton is brought to you by Foster's Lager, proud to bring you the best of the CFL. And by Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. Here we go with Tom Burgess at quarterback for Saskatchewan. He gets time to throw. Flag down. Long run for Ellingson. Is it coming back? No indication yet. The Eskimos say yes, and that's the case.
You know, Bob Irving said it earlier that when you've got a chance, take advantage of it. And boy, there's nothing worse. And nothing will drive a coach crazier than to have a big play and have it called back for an infraction. And this one is on its way back. And it's a long walk for Ellingson.
Well, whoever the player is that held, Mike Anderson, I guess right now he just wishes that field would open up and swallow him. Find a place to hide. And Andy's a tremendous competitor, and I know he feels extremely bad about this.
But you know what I think they have to be saying to one another is, hey, we did it right now. We can come back and do the same doggone play. Let's forget about it and do it again.
Elgar got one hand on it. He had Don Wilson beaten to the outside, but the pass could not be caught by Ray Elgar, who has a touchdown pass in this game. So it's second down and 20, and now we can look for some kind of blitz from Edmonton.
They're going to try to rattle Tom Burgess. There's no doubt about that. Regardless of the fact that he is a veteran and has played, they figure, well, let's bring something, let's disguise something, bring a blitz, trying to get him rattled early.
Back off. Burgess stumbling out of there. Now he's hit by Braswell, and that's a clean hit.
Not only a clean hit, but just great hustle by Braswell, who was upfield on a blitz. He's at the top of the screen. He'll be blocked out of the situation. See, now he's going to peel around. That slight slip by Burgess allows Braswell to hustle and make the play and shoot him down.
The lone man back for the Eskimos, who prepare to go on offense. Terry Baker waiting for the snap from center. Baker up punting Corrick in the first half. Very low. One bounce to Hunter. He'll let it bounce again. No flags down, and Hunter, boy, it looked as though he had a hole if he'd gone straight up the middle. He is taken down at the 48.
Yeah, I didn't understand that spin. It turned his back to it. He can't see what's going on downfield when he spins like that, because I saw the same thing you did. It looked to me like you had a spot to run there and get him even better field position.
Well, now the big question, what does Edmonton do on offense to counteract a very effective Saskatchewan blitz? Of course, the Riders might not show it right away in this second half as the game of chess proceeds. They only have 4 men on the line this time. That's how many they rush. Now bring a fifth. Ham. The Riders trying to cover the lanes. And Ham gets over the midfield stripe to the 54 of Saskatchewan. A good run by Tracy Ham. I think that's what he's got to do. It sounds simple, but the better he runs, the more difficulty Saskatchewan will have in playing gambling defense.
And I think it will It does a number of things. One, it tires out the defense. Albright is the leader. He's going to chase Tracy Ham as Klingbeil, Goldsmith, Lewis, and Jurison, their front four. It makes it tough. It puts pressure on them.
Second down, just a little more than a yard, perhaps. First down is made by Michael Souls as he is in the game to carry the ball for the first time.
A little bit of action in the backfield. Usually the backs move on either side of Marshall, and then it's a straight handoff. This time, a bit of a counter. Michael Souls, every time he gets in the football game for the Eskimos, he's done well. And you can bet when the short yardage is called and they know it's going to, he knows it's going for him, it's even more exciting.
First down from Saskatchewan's 50. Riders sneak up, showing blitz. They come with it. Ham throws it over the middle. Richards has it. Puts his head down and tries to keep going and does. Tom Richards for the first down near the 38-yard line.
That's exactly what they needed to do. If they're going to blitz, get those receivers quickly into the open area, the little short pass, and then give these guys are good athletes, give them a chance to run. And that's all it was. It wasn't just a little tiny toss over the middle. You don't have to put anything on it. And give these guys, their athletes, give them a chance to get onto the, latch onto the ball and go with it.
Mind you, Neil, better Saskatchewan tackling would have made the play not nearly as effective. They had him covered. Hogue was right there with Richards, but couldn't get a hand on it.
Yeah, you can say better tackling. You can say just what a great effort by Richards, who was just spinning and pulling and driving for that first down marker. You know, it's easy, and we see it a lot. Defensive backs coming up and going for the hit instead of going and wrapping the person up and pulling them down.
Richie Hall, he sure is awful active. He's had 60 tackles at the end of the season, and there's a lot of linebackers in this league that don't get 60 tackles over the course of the season. Not a big man, but it's a cliche. He does have a big heart, and he's active. He runs all over that field, makes a lot of plays.
John Hoffman comes in, but only briefly, as Hall appears to be okay. He shook his head, nodded his head. When he got to the sidelines, here's Ham in the pocket, now out of the pocket, and now they come for it. He can still throw it, but can't find a receiver and just ducks past the line of scrimmage to the 35-yard line. Saskatchewan's defense did its job that time.
There are different ways in a football game how players can be frustrated. Sometimes when you're having a hard time blocking somebody. Watch Rasevich, 74, come in from behind here, right there. I mean, I bet you he bet a paycheck that I got him. But Ham is gone. Those little frustrations are tough.
I wouldn't bet a paycheck.
Goldsmith almost had him, too, at the line of scrimmage. Ham got a couple of yards. But the Riders, once they got him out of there, were careful to make sure he wasn't going to run far. Here they come again. Ham goes the same way, throws it back the other way. Now there are blockers. Reggie Taylor looking for help. Oh, he made a great move on his own to take advantage of what there was, and there's a penalty at the end of the play, too. That could have been disastrous for Edmonton. Instead, it turns out to be a big, big play.
Well, you know, when you scramble and improvise, Nick, as you said, Tracy Ham has that ability to do. Sometimes you need a supporting cast. And at this situation, you're going to see Taylor where he's starting. He blocks Albright. He does job number one. All of a sudden, he becomes the release man. Now watch everyone work downfield for him. Right there, a block. Coming up, another block. And then a face mask at the end, which will take him another 15 yards downfield.
He directed himself and his blockers like an orchestra leader to get everything that play had in it, and more because of the penalty. And now the Eskimos are just inside the Rider 10, trying to regain the lead. Ham on the option. He keeps it and scores.
Here we come, the option. Pitch man, take the pitch man. There it goes, number 3. Hogan front goes to the potential pitch man. No one knows how to run the option better than Tracy Ham.
What really made that play go was Bobby Jurison slipped on the play, allowing Hector Pache to push him down to the ground. They lost their immediate contain. They were just outmanned on that side.
adds the convert. The Eskimos at one time led this game 10-0. They are now back into the lead by 3 points. This is Foster's Canadian Football Network, the television home of the '89 Grey Cup. Eskimos kick off after scoring to take the lead again, and Tim McRae battles on the return. Now the ball comes loose, and the Riders get it back. McRae was knocked down before that ball was fumbled. They did, however, recover it.
Well, the best thing to do, I guess, in a situation like this is let probably your best athlete on the team keep the ball himself. You know it's got to be the safest play you can run because there's only one guy handling the ball. Just a tremendous athletic ability of Tracy Ham makes this happen, and you know he's very comfortable running the option. That's college stuff for him.
And a great change-up call.
The Hambone offense. It was at Georgia Southern. It's now in Edmonton. Burgess, and coming back to the ball is receiver Mark Guy. Not a first down, but it is a completion that gets them close.
Well, you know, at the best of times, it's not easy to defend the option. You got to have a guy that's going to come up and smack the quarterback and take the potential pitch man.
And I think you can see some real visible relief in his face. He's been frustrated throughout that first half. I think now he feels a little bit more involved in the game, a little bit more on track. And it's going to be, I firmly believe it could be a seesaw battle all the way down the line here.
Riders need 2 yards for a first down. They have the short yardage team in, and Burgess keeps the ball. He throws it wide open. Receiver drops the ball. That's Gary Lewis, who came in the game as an eligible receiver. And a true receiver might well have caught it and scored on the play, but Lewis couldn't do either.
Well, the variety out of the short yardage offense is on the right of your screen. He'll step and then go back to the inside. Burgess, good job of getting and then swinging that body or his body around to make the throw. And those big old defensive linemen aren't used to catching the football.
Well, he had the wave part down pretty good, I thought. Yeah, I'm open.
I don't think Saskatchewan can afford to get away from trying to run the football. And it looks to me right now that they might only pass.
Interesting call here. Were the Eskimos drawn offside or not? Hunter is going to let the ball go out at the 4-yard line. It looked to me like the center might have moved the football or faked the snap.
That's exactly it, Dave. At one time, it was legal for the center to jerk his head up to take a look downfield and thereby draw the defenders outside. But you can't do that anymore. They eliminated that, and I think they're going to call it against Saskatchewan.
Well, that's what I saw. We'll come back and make sure of that shortly with Saskatchewan trailing by 3. The penalty was indeed against Saskatchewan. The Riders will punt again. Baker's last punt was out at the 4-yard line. Now, it'll be interesting to see where the Eskimos wind up with it the second time. Well ahead of the 4, obviously, if they hold on to the ball. This is Hunter. Past the 40. He's 40 yards further than he would have been. Now, little things are really haunting Saskatchewan now. Ellingson ran for a touchdown, holding penalty, called it back. Gary Lewis had a big first down catch, couldn't catch the ball, though. And now, illegal procedure cost them 40 yards in field position.
And you've got a long, cold off season to think about those types of things. You only get so many chances in a game. It's very true. Make the most of them, especially when you're playing against a very good football team.
Eskimos out at their 44 with a 3-point lead. They pitch to Reggie Taylor, and he cuts it back for a yard. 2, lost the ball. It's bouncing around. 2 Eskimos are on it. That was a pinball.
Hunter ends up with the football, but that ball came down and almost looked like one of the Saskatchewan players is going to go down on it. And all of a sudden it popped out. You get a good look right here. Good cut. Right back up inside Hector Pache. There goes the ball. Jerson, super job of stripping it. And then all of a sudden, like somebody teed it up and kicked it.
That's exactly what happened. The ball was kicked, and fortunately for the Eskimos, right to where Saskatchewan Roughriders were. It's a gain of a couple. Ham waiting much too long. If you can't find a receiver by that time, throw it away and avoid the sack. He couldn't, didn't, and the Eskimos will have to punt.
Well, I think if you're going to draw it up, this is the ideal way to contain your quarterback. Everyone's in a lane. There's no place to go upfield. And then the outside ends, or the ends that coming in, this time Goldsmith from the quarterback's right comes in from behind, almost like he's out of sight a little bit, so he doesn't seem to be as much of a threat, or Ham doesn't see him as that.
The Eskimos and Jerry Corrick would like something better than 35 or 36 yards per punt. He is facing a bit of a wind. They won't like this any better than the others, except there will be no return. The ball goes out at the 36-yard line. Saskatchewan takes it there. Flag down way back, and holding is indicated against Edmonton.
Something else we'll watch as the game goes on for the punters. The field, you know, they're always kicking the ball in between the hash marks. They're going to start to slip a little bit.
Yeah, I saw Jerry Corrick get dirty on that play. He looked really upset to me.
Holding against the Eskimos.
You know, we talked about being able to push off as an offensive lineman or receiver. This big right there, that big step, all the power for his kick in the hip is coming through there. And it's starting to get a little dicey out there.
Yeah, he's going to have to get that uniform washed, there's no doubt.
Only the back part, though.
Well, although that punt wasn't a good one, the Riders will ask him to do it again because he has to do it from 10 yards further back, and because they had no opportunity for a return that time. So this is the percentage call. They would have had it at the 36. And we'll compare that to the Riders' point of scrimmage after they get the ball. One bouncer to Corrick. Oh, he wanted to run or pass, but decided he should kick it, and there's what the penalty did to the Eskimos.
Flip side of the coin, we saw it happen to Saskatchewan. Good punt, come back because of a call. They had a repunt, gave Edmonton better field position. This time it was Saskatchewan's turn to be the recipient of a break.
Very important at this part of the game now. Rough Riders move this ball, come away with some points. I really believe they have to do it at this point in the game.
The Edmonton penalty cost the Eskimos almost 30 yards in field position. Burgess fires it to Narcisse. He takes a heavy hit, and there is a penalty flag on the far side of the field.
Well, generally when one's tossed over there, that's the referee that's looking down the line of scrimmage, and it could be procedure on Saskatchewan. But I still, as I said a few minutes ago, I think Saskatchewan cannot stay away or get away from running the football. McRae's had some success, and I asked John Gregory after the first quarter or going into the second, what do you want to be able to establish? He said, so the Eskimos know that we can run the football in this football game. I think they accomplished that, but I think if they go away from it, they'll hurt themselves.
Mind you, they're handling Edmonton's pass rush pretty well, and this is a team that ultimately succeeds or fails on how it throws the ball. They'll continue to try to do that. Hill chasing Burgess. He dumped the ball off to Bilson Jones, and Jones is taken down before he reaches the 45.
But maybe a classic example of that is some play action. Play action is there to slow down the rush, to take some of the heat off you. Those guys flew through the gaps at chasing down Burgess without even worrying about the handoff.
You had two guards pulling opposite directions that time and nearly ran into each other. You got to watch for that, but you're right. They've got to get that play action going also, but the run sets that up, obviously.
Second down, and they're back to the 10 they needed initially. Burgess throwing it deep. Man is there for a touchdown. Jeff Fairholm.
That's shaking it up, all right. Burgess is going to have to throw this back. He looks to one side. Fairholm does an out and then wheels it up. And that wheel up takes advantage. Gets a break, gets behind Mark Mathis. Mathis had stepped up to take the slot back. He falls him out to the flat, and then he turns it upfield.
The guy right there that you see is a proud dad, Larry Fairholm, and you know he's enjoying this, and Tom Burgess will have to see. He'll have to watch this on the videotape replay because he got buried and never did see the throw.
Seesaw is right. The Riders are back in front with 5:08 to go in the third quarter. Burgess to Fairholm for 46 yards. Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network bringing you the best of the CFL all the way to the Grey Cup. Ball is fumbled on the kickoff. Return, and who's got it? Riders.
You can take that plus 40 giveaway takeaway and throw that out the window right now. It doesn't mean a thing.
Well, you can take everything that's gone on prior to this football game for both teams and throw it out. Straight up in the body. Got to get your head and your shoulder pads down, or when you see a hit coming, take a quarter of your body away so the impact doesn't go to your chest and on the football.
Twice as many turnovers for Edmonton. This could be the biggest of them all if the Riders can put the ball in the end zone from the 39. Burgess with time. He's going to run. Braswell decks him at the 35 after a gain of only 4. It could have been more.
Well, you know what? You get aside of all the crap that's gone on around Jeff Braswell. I'll tell you, when he comes to play football, he's a very good, solid linebacker. And he's going to drop into his zone. When Burgess goes, he goes. Watch the head here. Good extension. That's the way you teach kids to tackle, right there.
And he didn't buy any of those head fakes at all. He just zeroed in on that target.
They got 5. They need 5. Almost intercepted by Blair. They're going to call interference, though. Don Narcisse was on the ground.
Burgess looking for Narcisse on a post pattern. Nothing fancy. Straight down, inside position on Stanley Blair. Makes that cut to the post. That contact from Blair from behind is what they called.
I thought it was their shoes got tangled up with each other, like incidental contact, which shouldn't be interference.
It is a first down, though, from the 18-yard line. Straight up the middle, straight into Dan Bass.
Well, you can count on an awful lot of things with the Eskimos, and one of them happens to wear number 30. A real technician of the football game and watches, as most coaches will tell you that have been around him, a lot of film and tape. He learns and finds out what people are going to do and learns to read keys, and it shows in his play.
Riders' largest lead, 7 points. A touchdown here could make it 11. And I think it would be a real lift if the Riders could get that far ahead. They go to the end zone to Elgard. He's got it! Touchdown, Ray Elgard!
Ray Elgard missed 5 games this season. And you take out a large part of their offense when you take this guy out of the game. There was no question he was going to play today. 80%, 85% taped up knee and all. He's big, he's strong, and he does something to that rest of that team. He lifts them to a higher level of performance.
Well, I'll tell you what, that play, Stanley Blair is in perfect position. Ray Elgard a little bit taller. Take nothing away from the coverage. That was a phenomenal catch.
The Riders add the convert, and that makes the score Saskatchewan 31, Edmonton 20. Let's pause 10 seconds for the stations from coast to coast to identify themselves. You're watching the West Final on Foster's Canadian Football Network.
You're watching the CFL on good-looking STV.
Well, I'll tell you, if I'm a head coach, and if you ask me at this point, right now, this juncture of the game, do you want the bye? You want first place in the bye? Thinking what's gone on in the last 3 seasons, I don't want it. I want my team to play every week.
Interesting comment. I've been in a couple situations where I've been in a bye, and I didn't mind it so much being with Edmonton. You do come out a little bit flat, but I don't think Ray Elgard's success in the Riders are because the Eskimos have been flat.
But they didn't come out flat. They led 10 to nothing. That's what I mean.
Exactly.
Keith Wright, who couldn't keep the last kickoff. Doesn't want any part of this one as the ball goes out of bounds.
Well, you want to talk about effective relief pitcher. He just come in there. They've rallied around him. And I don't care how long it's been since he's played. He just looks like right on top of form, on the money.
Well, and you know this feels good.
How often have we heard that two quarterbacks are vital to a Canadian Football League team's success?
And the successful teams are very reluctant to say we have a starter. Burgess and Austin both have the ability to be the #1 quarterback. And I think you take something away from them if you say Burgess is #2, because I don't think he is. I think they're equal. Austin happened to be the hot one down the stretch.
And again, all that he has done so far doesn't show up on the board. He had a touchdown pass to Ellingson, close to a touchdown pass to Lewis, and neither counted.
Well, the guy with the nickname of Harley came through.
Yeah, that one counted. He's right again, 2 hands on the ball, at the start anyway. And Wright was going down as Wayne Drinkwater came down on him.
You think all week Joe Faragelli tried to beat it into their heads, in the mind of his troops. Anything can happen in a one-shot deal. You've got to go out there and still play the game. You can't look past this week.
Well, you know, he had Randy Ambrose, who was with the Argos a couple of years ago when they had won 14, and they were expected to go back to the Grey Cup and didn't. He had a little chat with the team to just sort of tell them what it's like to be good during the year and lose out when it counts.
Some movement, but no flag. And the Riders are now starting to hit like a team that is sitting on top of the biggest upset of the season.
Just on the ball carrier.
Well, I'll tell you what, emotion is a wonderful thing in professional sports, especially football. You can ride the wave, and if you can keep that emotion up, it takes away when you're tired, it takes away when you're hurt. And that passion to play the game, we've seen a lot of it on both sides of the football so far.
Here comes a blitz, and sitting in the pocket, throwing it deep, but again he overthrows his receiver, Tony Hunter.
But you know, good protection. Saskatchewan brings the blitz. Ham's throwing the ball deep. Hunter's breaking off, almost like he's going into the middle. Suter's gone. He's coming up to blitz. This has happened a couple times to this same side, same situation, where quarterback receiver were not on the same page.
And you wonder about Edmonton's desire to strike back with the big play. That's what getting down by more than a touchdown could do. You tend to become impatient, and that's in Saskatchewan's favor right now. Richie Hall to the 32-yard line. First down Riders there with 1:48 remaining in the third quarter.
What's important right now, I think, for Saskatchewan, you've still got a lot of ball game left, and certainly no one's won it, but they now cannot go into a shell of trying to protect a lead. It's just not going to work against this team that they're facing. So they have to keep pitching. They have to keep doing the things they have been doing so effectively up to this point.
Well, I think one of the most effective things they've done is protect this man, Tom Burgess. He's having time to do what he wants to do. Jones for a couple of yards to the 35. Actually, the pass protection, except for the play that knocked Kent Austin out of the game, has really been good.
And recognize those front five again. Moore, Aldag, Anderson, Poley, and Stevenson. I mean, you're right. They've done their homework. They've done an effective job of really getting a stalemate at that line of scrimmage. And the backs, McCray and Milson Jones.
Gain was 2, 2nd and 8 from the 34. Here come the Eskimos now. Burgess got rid of it. Couldn't complete it, but avoided the big loss, the sack, or the fumble.
There's a situation there where he had to release the ball just before the receiver made the break, and he can't hang on to it any longer. If he does, he's going to get drilled.
That's right. So he takes a chance, leads the receiver to where he thinks he's going to be able to get to after he's made his cut. That time just a little bit further ahead.
What's the first thing on the Tom Burgess scouting report? Reads blitz well.
Very true.
He's known as the best in this league at doing that, so it's not automatic. The Eskimos are going to get to him when they come with the linebackers or the defensive backs. Hunter puts his head down and is stopped just a yard short of midfield.
See the rookie, Steve Wiggins, on the sidelines there. I don't know what happened with it. He's had a rough day. They have picked on him somewhat. Seemed to just go to the sidelines and collapse.
To the 55-yard line.
I think overall, their secondary's done a good job on their wide receivers. Now that change is going to put Suter at from safety over to halfback, Larry Hogue out in the corner, and John Hoffman, 19, to come in at the safety spot.
And fake the handoff. Doesn't know what to do with it now. Well, I thought he was going down. Now he throws the ball. This could be a lateral even to Taylor. And Taylor just runs up the sidelines and makes some yards.
Jurison's down on the field. He had made a tremendous effort not to get fooled. Ham that time had a bootleg fake, trying to get everybody to go the direction of the running back. Jurison reads it perfectly like he's been taught all week. He goes down, and you see him grab his knee right there as soon as he went down. They cannot afford to lose any more bodies.
Now that play is whistled down in the National Football League for grasp and control, but Tracy Ham wouldn't go down, and they wouldn't blow it dead, and thus they gain yards.
Tom Richards coming back to support the running back. Boy, he tags Eddie Lowe. And I'll bet you Tom Richards had a smile on his face for about 5 yards as he approached, because that's a dream. That's called a near hold. No one knows you're coming, and boy, do you get a chance to unload. And Bob Jurison, I think he twisted his knee as he went to grab Tracy Ham.
More than 35,000 are here at Commonwealth Stadium, and obviously not all are cheering for the Eskimos, but it seems that everybody's having fun of one kind or another.
In a very short time period, we've seen 2 key injuries. Right now, we've seen Wiggins go out of the game. Now Jurison, Gary Lewis could go to that end, and Drinkwalter may come in at the tackle spot.
The Eskimos went 60 yards to make 6 on the last play, and to avoid a potential loss, here come the Riders again, and the Eskimos are going to make the first down on the ground with Reggie Taylor. As the third quarter ends, the Eskimos go to the fourth quarter needing a big comeback. They are down by 11 points.
15 minutes left in the Western Final. Eskimos 11 points down. Everybody's talked all season long about how good the Edmonton Eskimos are. Now's their chance to show us all just how good they are.
Well, it'll have to be good to come back and win. Saskatchewan with an 11-point lead. And they're going to talk about this one for a while, either the big upset or the big comeback. It'll be one or the other. Bobby Jurison is back in the game, but Steve Wiggins isn't. Hogue on the right corner for Saskatchewan. Ham on the run. Throws a pass and completes it to Keith Wright, who reaches to the 25-yard line, has a first down.
Steve Wiggins has a slight concussion, and you know, I wouldn't expect him back into the game because you have to certainly have your wits about you, and you don't want him blowing a coverage at this point in the game. Can't keep a good man down. Jurison was only out for one play.
Eskimos quickly to the ball for the 26. Ham throws it up. Walter Murray just can't get there. He had a good effort and complains about the coverage on him by Larry Hogue. No flag.
Probably the toughest catch in football to make, I would say, Neil. Back over your shoulder. Coverage was good. Hogue was trailing. That's all he could do. As soon as the receiver slows down, starts to bend back over, there's going to be some bumping.
Meanwhile, let's remember that the real success for Edmonton through the air was to the slot backs, Ellis and Richards. Ham seems to be getting away from that and maybe overreacting to Wiggins' absence on the corner. This is up over the top and could have been intercepted, but not caught. Again, a pass to a wide receiver.
Well, the interesting thing is, really, how you talk about how good the Eskimos have been all season. What I want to know is how good have they been from coming back? I'm sure from playing from behind. I'm sure they haven't been in this situation too much this year. And it's interesting to see how they're responding from having to catch up.
We saw them win a game from behind against Calgary. That might have been one of their stiffest tests here at home. And, of course, they didn't lose all season at Commonwealth Stadium. Jerry Corrick to try for 3. From the 33. No good. Riders happy to give one, although they'll try to take some time off the clock first. And it's 31-21. Only a single point.
We talked an awful lot about footwear today because of the field conditions and that people have to change. When the weather gets cold, receivers and running backs look for different things. There are 2 types of gloves that are being worn today. This one is a glass cutter's glove. This is what the Saskatchewan Roughriders are wearing. Fits loose, they usually tape it around their wrist. Fairholm says it's great because when the ball hits, the glove moves instead of bouncing off. This is that tackified glove, very, very sticky, that the Eskimos wear. 2 different styles, both effective.
Burgess faked a pitch, throws a pass over the middle, and it's caught by Ray Elgard. And what has his return meant to this Saskatchewan team today?
I think he's definitely put some of that big play capability back into their attack, and we're harkening back to what John Gregory said the other day, is that we cannot move the ball down the field all the time. We'll have to go to some bigger plays.
And it also adds another threat. You've got Fairholm and Elgard in the inside. You've got good speed on the outside with Guy and Narcisse. And you've got those gloves. And they've got to help.
From midfield, the Saskatchewan Roughriders in a 10-point lead. Play action. Another slot back catch by Jeff Fairholm. Elgard has 2 touchdowns. Fairholm has 1, and the Eskimo slots haven't scored.
Well, you know, we mentioned the last time you did, Dave, about the slots of the Eskimos not being as effective. See, Fairholm, a little bit of a limp. He's been suffering from a sore ankle and a sore Achilles. But you know, on occasion, when the Riders are blitzing the Eskimos, they are keeping one of their slots in the block. Automatically, it takes them out of the game.
Short yardage offense on 2nd down for Saskatchewan. A little more than 12 minutes to go. I think they're short of the 1st down, but maybe close enough to consider going for it on 3rd down.
Tremendous surge that time by the Edmonton Eskimo defensive line. They just came pouring through there like gangbusters, and really Tim McRae did a good job to keep his balance and get what he did.
Well, you can bet Brett Williams has got to be one of them. Aldag pulls out. There goes 91 Williams. He knocks off Poley, who's pulling, so one man's already out. He's done his job, and Mike McLean and a couple other guys go in there. 3rd and short. Crucial time of the game and a big play.
Well, they were fortunate in a 3rd and shorter than this in the 1st half. They make this, though. And this is the confidence that this Saskatchewan Roughrider team has shown right from the beginning. No thought of kicking the ball away.
Well, and I think that's a good call for a number of reasons. One, the offense is doing well. You've got Tim McRae and Milson Jones in the backfield. You know they believe when they stand out there waiting for whether we're going to punt or not. And watch him pop through here. He takes a good shot for that offensive line, the left side, with Aldag and Moore. Create a good seam. That's what he needs.
Well, they're the unsung heroes so far for Saskatchewan, and we'll keep talking about them and take away the word unsung, I think, because it's been a big, big part of this game. McRae to the 40-yard line, 3 yards for Tim McRae.
Well, you see that condition of the field now starting to affect some of that cutback running, but if they do the things that they said they were going to do, just stick with the area blocking, Tim McRae getting in behind that veteran offensive line and just keep moving his feet, he's going to pick up necessary yardage and give him another 3 downs.
And also remember, the field conditions affect the defensive player. He comes hard to the ball, the cut's made, he doesn't have the same type of grip either.
Riders want to make 1st downs and take time off the clock. And if they can do that, points will be a bonus. There's another 1st down. Narcisse from Tom Burgess.
Well, we talked about Tom Burgess's ability to get out of the quarterback if he's forced and having to run with the football. But when you've got support downfield and you can get out with good blocking from your line, but your backs, why not sprint out and throw the ball?
Very concerned man right there.
Well, we said this earlier. It doesn't matter. You can throw all the statistics, all the points, everything out that's happened before this game, the 16-2. That just doesn't matter anymore.
And I'll go back to the very first thing I said today, that I don't think overconfidence or anything to do with favorites and underdogs has affected this game. If Saskatchewan wins, Saskatchewan will win by outplaying Edmonton, not by catching Edmonton off guard or Edmonton taking Saskatchewan too lightly. I think we've seen the game decided on the field.
Yes, it's the furthest thing from a fluke that you can get. They've played tough. They've made the things happen, and they've come back when they've had things happen that have been good, and then have gone back against them, like the Ellingson touchdown.
Burgess fakes the draw, runs away from pressure, and now out of bounds. Not wanting to turn the ball over because they are in position to add 3 points to their total of 31. It is interesting that John Gregory's magic number of 30 has been surpassed.
Well, he figured if they'd get the 30 points plus, they'd had a good chance to win. But, you know, on the flip side, he expected his defense to come up big. And I don't think you can dispute that they've stuck to their game plan of keeping Tracy Ham in the pocket, making him throw from that area.
And I think we're seeing a more mature John Gregory on the sidelines, too, this year. And I think maybe that's paid off, too.
Jones up the middle. He's got a first down. And Milson Jones, the ex-Eskimo, is down inside the 10-yard line.
Let's just go back 1 week. They needed, it was the second 10, I believe, or about 10, and they handed the ball off on a draw play to Walling, who was in for fullback. Watch this, Milson Jones, same thing, quick hitter. Again, the seam by the offensive line, and the return of Milson Jones has been a big one.
What happens there, of course, is the guard, Bob Poley, blocks down on the nose John Mandrich. John Mandrich fights the pressure out of the middle, and it opens right up.
Eskimos trying to keep the Riders out of the end zone. Elgard with another big catch. They throw him out at the 5-yard line. You could argue that if the Riders score a touchdown, this game is over. Now, I wouldn't want to count Edmonton out with more than 8 minutes to go, but I really think the Eskimos have to hold Saskatchewan to 3 points here.
And do you believe that do you believe what Ray Elgard said earlier before the start of the game? It's just another ball game for us. I don't believe it for a minute.
Second and goal. 5 yards away from a touchdown that might just do it. Here's McCray. Close, but not over.
Now, as a head coach and John Gregory on the sidelines, he's got a lead. He's down near the goal line. It's going to be third down. Is he satisfied with 3? Is 3 enough for him right now, or does he have to put it in the end zone?
Well, I know what we said earlier about the confidence of the Riders, but I would kick here.
Okay.
And the reason being, if Saskatchewan doesn't make it, the Eskimos have a lift of their spirits that they don't get otherwise. You put Edmonton back in the game emotionally if you fail to make this.
Well, their defense has played well. Even if you didn't make it, you're certainly not leaving them in great field position. And you've got to have the confidence, perhaps, in your D that they're going to come up big and force Edmonton to kick from their own end zone and get great field position again.
Well, Burgess used this as a ploy. They'll try to draw Edmonton offside with a count and some movement.
Maybe. Let's see. They need 2 yards. They hand it to McCray, and he doesn't get it. And listen to that roar, and that's exactly what I was talking about. The lead remains 10. The time remaining 7:51. This CFN playoff game brought to you by Foster's Lager, proud sponsor of the '89 Grey Cup. The benefit for Saskatchewan is that Edmonton is very deep in its own zone. Ham throws over the middle into traffic. Richards makes a big catch and gets a first down, and suddenly they're not so far deep.
And they will probably go into that hurry-up offense. They now have their backs away from the goal line. They're going to start to try to get some momentum and then not lose it. And that is keeping drives going and keeping defenses on their heels.
Murray, the tall wide receiver working against Larry Hogue, has another catch and another first down.
This is not the time for Saskatchewan defense to lay off the ball and let everything develop in front of them. They still have to get after the Edmonton offensive players. They've still got to play a tough football game here. You know, you can't go into that shell.
They've gone about 38 yards in 2 plays, and the Riders will buy some time with Steve Crane taking a break here.
Not so much 2 plays, but in a very short period of time. You know, if you take a gamble and you roll the dice, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Look at the flow of the defensive. Leroy Blue, not in the game all the time, but in short yardage comes in. And that tells you the result with not even having seen the replay.
incomplete.
The secondary people, it almost looks like they're dropping to a 3 deep. They're in a zone coverage. I don't know. Do you go away from what has been successful for you? Keep bringing the heat on the quarterback. Man up. Take the early or the quick pass away from the receivers.
Well, Murray in that instance there was reaching for the ball instead of keeping his feet running to where the ball was going to be. I think he stopped his feet moving too early and was reaching to make that catch.
Meanwhile, we ask again about Craig Ellis, leading receiver on the team this season with 80 catches. The Eskimos need some big catches now, but Ellis is a blocker. And Keith Wright, a wide receiver, is reaching for an incomplete pass.
You called it, David. Rolling to the right-hand side when you get your back coming out of the backfield, you can't expose your quarterback's back. If you watch me as I step back, if I say it again, I won't know what other word to use. But you have to protect them, and they're using the slot back to do that. That play, it's Craig Ellis.
So after 2 good plays, the Eskimos come up empty on 2 straight plays and must punt. 6.5 minutes left. The Riders will get the ball with a 10-point lead. Flag is down. It's awfully late to be no yards, and I don't think it was no yards. So we'll wonder about this one as the Riders think about next week. Can they get there? The Eskimos fumbled, and Saskatchewan immediately scored 7 points in the recovery, scored 7 following an interception, and again 7 points following a fumble. 3 Saskatchewan turnovers have cost the Riders no points. So it's 21-0 in the turnover department if you're counting points, and obviously that's the ball game.
Well, at this point in the game, it looks like the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to work on that running attack now. Gives them a chance to come off the ball, wear down those Edmonton defenders, and if they can continue to control the tempo of this game with that running attack, then I think they've got an excellent chance to pull it off.
But not getting minus a half a yard on first down.
Pretty good on second down, not quite good enough for a first down, though, as McCray is out at the 50-yard line. And they will punt this one away with 3 yards to go and 5.5 minutes remaining.
John Gregory really thinks highly of his special teams, and now he wants to see how good they are. You've got to need a good punt. You're going to need tremendous coverage downfield to keep them pinned in their own end of the field.
Well, with Hunter and Richards back, both having the ability, we've seen more of Hunter than we have Richards this year, but both can break it long, and I think Bakers now has to start getting that ball in the air so the coverage can get down so they can corral these two, because they've held them stead so far.
That's a good punt by Baker. Might be his best, all things considered, because there will be no return out at the 15-yard line. 5:11 remaining. That between Saskatchewan and a Grey Cup trip. Time's running out of the Edmonton Eskimos. They very much need a big play somewhere in this series that starts back at their 15-yard line. Over the middle, Richards had to reach back for it.
Well, while Richards reached back, Richie Hall's coming up in the coverage, and with the ball thrown a little bit behind, Richie Hall had visions of interception and maybe a touchdown.
Well, Steve Wiggins back in the game, by the way, at right corner for Saskatchewan, so their starting secondary is in the game again.
Here we go.
Second and 10 Eskimos from the 15. Throws it long. Ellis can't get there. He stumbled going after it. Hogue was on him, and no flags are thrown.
Very interesting to see that the whole game has fallen into a predictable pattern, and that Tracy Ham is trying to get the ball away on timing, working with his receivers, such Craig Ellis there, and you see him, it looks like a basketball going through the hoop there.
Very catchable. He knows it, too.
4:40 remaining. Korek punts it very high. Hall waiting for it to come down. Richie Hall runs to the 40-yard line. Let's join Bob Irving.
Dave, well, we have a Hamilton Saskatchewan Grey Cup game for the first time since 1972. We know Hamilton will be there, and Saskatchewan closing in on a major upset in the West Final. Join us, Grey Cup Sunday from the Sky Dome in Toronto.
Well, barring a big mistake by Saskatchewan, I think we will. I think the Riders are in great shape now. Less than 4.5 minutes to go. They have the ball in Edmonton territory. They're going to run at least 3 plays, and the way they've been protecting the ball and killing the clock, they might just get a couple of first downs and maybe more points. They're not sitting on the lead at all. Burgess was looking to throw. Now he runs, not wanting to throw an incompletion or an interception. Clock moves down to the 4-minute mark.
How do you contain yourself as if you're John Gregory, keep things in perspective knowing there's still some time left? It's almost like you want to walk away and don't look at the field, and someone say, tap me on the shoulder when it's over.
Yeah. Go, gang! Come on, Tommy! Burgess letting that 20-second clock run down right to the end. Flag down. Burgess missed a hit from Andre Francis. It'll come back, but that's fine with the Riders. They get to run another play.
Burgess runs 30 yards, 12 yards, kicked out of bounds by Francis. There is a penalty flag on the play.
Burgess's running ability could be the key to these last few minutes of the football game. You know, he's not going to throw it up.
Saskatchewan number 44, second down repeated.
He's not going to put it in the air unless he's absolutely sure he can get a completion. And if he can run like that,
yeah, nobody's going to mistake him for Tracy Ham when he runs a ball, but he's doing just an effective enough job, breaking contain, buying time, running the ball down the field line, not doing anything stupid. And if he doesn't stay in bounds when
he hasn't done anything approaching a mistake since he came into the game.
Now that we've said that.
Ball back at the Edmonton 51. Just over 3 minutes to go. McCray makes sure he holds the ball. What he gains isn't important. What he doesn't lose is the key.
McCray, the ball carrier.
Trying to sweep to the wide side of the field and get some protection. Danny Bass and that defense continues to pursue.
Exactly 3 minutes to go, and the Edmonton Eskimos need points. Foster's Lager and the Canadian Football Network proud to bring you the best of the CFL all the way to the Grey Cup.
Thank you. For today and throughout the 1989 season.
The clock ticks away, and the Riders don't snap the ball until they have to. Down clock 4, 3, 2, and now comes the snap. And the punt goes directly between Richards and Hunter. If ever Tony Hunter needed a big return, it was now. He didn't get it. He led the league in punt returns, but he didn't do what Gizmo Williams so often did, and that is score a touchdown. So again, it's almost the length of the field that the Eskimos need for points. And 2.5 minutes is all they have left on the clock.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the Eskimo Football Club reminds you that there is no access to the field after the game break. Stadium attendants will be posted to keep fans off the field, and we request your cooperation.
Remember, this is not a team noted for plays that go 100 or 90 or 80 yards. They're pretty good at 30 and 40, but it's pretty tough for the Eskimos to score in 1 or 2 plays from here, though that's what they must try to do. This is an interception? No, they say no. But what was Tracy Ham throwing that pass?
Mike Keith's right slipped when he made the break, and Harry Skipper on the ball makes the same type of break when the ball is thrown, and he's looking to him all the way.
That's the key there, Neil, is that Harry Skipper is a veteran's been around a long time. Tracy Ham does not look off the receiver. He's looking at the guy who's going to throw to all the way. Well, the defensive back sees that, and he gets a good jump on the ball.
Certainly the 10-yard pass is not going to do the Eskimos a bit of good now. Ham is down. Sort of typifies the day, doesn't it? Glenn Suter, who's made a couple of big plays already, stops Tracy Ham. 2:20 to go. The Eskimos will send on the punt team. Whether they'll actually kick it or not, I'm not sure.
From the right side of your screen, Suter. We've seen him blitz from the middle. We've seen him go from the left side. And this side comes down in untouched. You'll see him be able to chase. Tracy Ham will start to release right at you. Perfect look. Suter just trips him up.
Does punt it, and the clock moves, and the Riders move closer to a Grey Cup as Richie Hall stills some emotions in Saskatchewan by holding on to that football.
Well, that Edmonton bench right now, they definitely look shell-shocked. They just can't believe it. This is happening to them, and who would have thought it?
Saskatchewan?
Obviously.
Well, you go 16 wins in a season with 18 games long. You learn how to win. You learn how to expect nothing but winning from yourself and your teammates.
Safety first for Saskatchewan. They hand the ball to Tim McRae. That keeps the clock going. And it would take what we could legitimately call a miracle now for the Edmonton Eskimos to go to Toronto as everybody or almost everybody thought they would.
Well, those eyes definitely say it all right there.
And if I was a Rider right now, I'd have a very difficult time containing myself. Still not losing the sight that this is just the Western Final. There's one more to go, and there's a team in Toronto, actually just to the outside of Toronto, waiting.
McRae got a block and got to the outside and got a first down, though the block will bring a penalty flag. And the play will probably come back. 1:39 left. I must say that I didn't think Saskatchewan had a big chance to do this, but I did think they had a chance, and the reason I did was watching Saskatchewan play without all its top players in Calgary a couple of weeks before the end of the season, winning a game that kept their second place hopes alive, though they didn't wind up finishing second. But they were without players like Fairholm and Elgard and Albright, and
Saskatchewan number 80,
hard.
Second down, repeat it.
Now put all those players back in, and this doesn't entirely shock me.
And teams that have had success against Edmonton, not necessarily always beating them this year, they've been able to stay close and been ahead at the halftime, and John Gregory said it, that's the key. Don't let them stretch it out, because if they can stretch out a lead on you, they'll start doing all sorts of things defensively, and you can't get back in the game.
The other thing, too, I think you got to mention here, it's really a tribute to the people, the supporters of Saskatchewan Roughriders, the province of Saskatchewan. They hung with this team for all those lean years, and looks like it's going to pay off now.
Well, if it is possible to be perfect in relief of a starting quarterback, that's what Tom Burgess has been.
And not only perfect as far as making mistakes, you might not think that going out of bounds is a mistake, but it would be in this situation. Tom Burgess gets the sidelines and spins back in right here. That's just smart.
Yeah, that's very heads-up play.
Thus, the clock continues to move. Let it move until they must snap the ball. Eskimos tried for a block. Baker just made sure he got rid of it. Hunter, he'll want to go out of bounds, and that's what he does, but he should do it fast, not slowly. 1:04 left. And now the Eskimos have no choice but to throw the ball deep on every play.
In the last two series, they've been trying to get as much quickness downfield as they can as far as receivers go. They've been sending Reggie Taylor down up the slot, and they will probably continue to do that because he is a threat, be it a runner or a receiver.
And the Riders will come with a blitz and get Tracy Ham, and he flips it out. They say the play is still on, but now it's not. Taylor taken down from behind by Glenn Suter.
The Eskimos, seems to me, all day have not been able to take advantage of the fact that that safety is out of the middle of the field, lined up on the line, and blitzing. They just have not been able to spring somebody free over the middle like you'd think they would.
And the credit has to go there to the guys that are playing the halfbacks, the Richie Hall, Larry Hogan, who was in at halfback and still is now.
Ham fires it too far for Keith Wright. Almost intercepted by Harry Skipper. It's third down. There is one last gasp for Edmonton.
We talked earlier in the game, and I've spoken to coaches about this. One of the best ways to take the slots out of the game for the Eskimos, and we've mentioned that they've backed in and blocked on occasion. But I think your linebackers and your defensive backs getting up and jamming them, disrupting them, they've had success doing that also.
Well, the Eskimos need a first down, but really they need a touchdown. First down would come out near the 45. Or a lot farther than that away from the end zone. Ham will run short of the first down. The 16-2 regular season record of the Edmonton Eskimos has become a memory.
What a tremendous job that John Gregory has done to motivate his people, to make them believe in each other. And he probably said, nobody outside of the four walls of this dressing room believes that we can do this. Obviously, that's all that mattered. They have done just a tremendous job of playing with emotion, of believing in themselves. It's a tribute to the whole organization.
And their execution has been very good, and being able to jump on situations and take advantage of. And Dave, you pointed out before, the Eskimos have had 3 opportunities and turnovers to score. They've got 0 on the board. Saskatchewan has the same. They've put 21 points on the board.
And remember this, that 10 of Edmonton's 21 points came before Saskatchewan had anything on the scoreboard.
That's right.
It was 10-0 early in the game for Edmonton, and the Eskimos had every reason to think that the day would continue that way. Flag is down. It looks as though they took too much time. 41 seconds remaining. Among other things, the CFL is known for its unpredictability. Add another chapter to that.
Saskatchewan number 16, second down.
It's been a long season. It started way back in June with training camp. A lot of injuries, a lot of bumps, a lot of bruises, a lot of controversy. And I'm sure a lot of these guys are probably just sick and tired of playing football. But now it all makes it worthwhile. All that goes by the wayside. Here we are, the last step yet in front of us, the last hurdle to jump over. And right now, you know, they feel on top of the world. That's the Roughriders.
There's one thing that is for sure, be it Nelson Jones or Tim McRae, you can bet they'll have both hands, forearms, and elbows over the football.
Well, I'll tell you what isn't for sure. Who's the Grey Cup favorite?
We'll have some time to think about that one, Mr. Hodge.
It's a safe answer, but not necessarily the one I wanted. Hamilton finished first in the East, narrowly beat Winnipeg today. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will try on Cinderella's shoes after this game. They won on the road in the semifinal at Calgary. They have now done what nobody did this season, and that is win in Edmonton as a visiting team. And now they'll try to win it all against the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Grey Cup game. Whatever, I think the spread will be close. Hard to make either team, Hamilton or Saskatchewan, a top-heavy favorite. One factor, though, Tom Burgess can certainly go all the way in a game and not just play a half of football as he's done today, but Kent Austin's knee is going to be important because the Riders, if they can't dress him, will have to go with Jeff Bentram, I guess.
Well, we saw him just a minute ago on the sidelines without ice on the knee, seemed to be walking fine, so if that's an indication, it's good news.
Baker again, make sure the punt isn't blocked, and Hunter can only watch it go out in the end zone. 1 point with 28 seconds left. If you really do believe in the possibility of miracles, then that means that the Eskimos now need 2 touchdowns. You can't think about a field goal, but we are thinking in ridiculous terms now, I guess.
Well, you're thinking like the Eskimos should be thinking, that be it 28 seconds or whatever the time shows, we're going to go after it and go after it until it's all over. And I don't know how you can explain the emotion on one side of the field, and that happens to be the Edmonton side.
And scrambling, throwing, and the ball is dropped. by Keith Wright, who had an important fumble early in the game.
Yeah, he's been a hunted, Tracy Ham has been a hunted man all day, and he's been harassed and chased all over the field. And once again, just a tribute to the Saskatchewan defense. Their game, especially their coaches, it was an excellent game plan, obviously well thought out.
But I want to ask you this. Early in the game when Edmonton was leading, there was no pressure on Tracy Ham. They were sending 4, maybe 5 pass rushers and not getting anywhere near him. Suddenly, the decision to go to the blitz turned this game around.
And whether that was the game plan to start soft and then come on, we don't know.
Well, I would make a guess that that is exactly what they wanted to do. And not show them the blitz right away. See what happened. Try to go without it, but if you need it, throw it at them. Ken Austin happy despite the injured knee.
And I'm sure it may be sore, but it isn't nearly as sore as if they were on the downside of the score right now. And he deserves a lot of credit, Ken Austin does. He got them in the position and played very well until he was out of the football game.
Catch is made by Richards at the 40-yard line. 8 seconds left. We're down to the last play or two.
The bitter pill in all this, I guess, for the Eskimos is that what are they going to be remembered for in the 1989 season? It's certainly not going to be going 16-2 because it means absolutely nothing. It's great as you're going through the season that you can't be beaten, but I'll tell you what, if you don't go all the way, the whole thing is a Grey Cup ring, not 16-2.
It wasn't supposed to be this way, but this is the way it is. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, West Division champions, Grey Cup bound to meet Hamilton, and the biggest day in the head coaching career of John Gregory is this day. Saskatchewan beats Edmonton.
For the first time since 1972, we will have a Saskatchewan-Hamilton Grey Cup game. We hope you'll join us. Tony Champion will lead the Hamilton Tiger Cats against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Bobby Jurison and the rest of the Roughrider crew will be at the Skydome in Toronto. So will we. Grey Cup Sunday, next Sunday, 4 Eastern Time. Our pregame show and kickoff time is 6 o'clock Eastern Time. For the second year in a row, the third-place team in the West is going to the Grey Cup. Turnovers led directly to 21 Saskatchewan points. The Roughriders knock off Edmonton. Our Foster's most valuable player, Saskatchewan quarterback Tom Burgess, in relief of injured Kent Austin. A couple of touchdown passes in the third quarter that made the difference, put Saskatchewan ahead, and their defense did the rest. Tom, congratulations. On a personal note, what a great way for you to have the season come to a conclusion, at least to this point, with one game left. I know. But you must feel great.
Yeah, I do. I feel real good. Let me interrupt here. I've been promising for 4 years I'd do this. I just want to say hi, Mom and Dad and Uncle Fred and all the family at home. They're all watching at home on satellite, and I finally got that one in.
Well, we hope Uncle Fred is as thrilled as you and the Roughriders must be. What a great catch Elgard made on that the touchdown.
Yeah, he sure did. Without guys like Ray and Jeff Fairholm in there, we're really outmatched against Edmonton, and I knew Ray was ready to play, and I knew with Ray in the ball game we had a really good chance of beating him, because I really think that we got the best slot backs in the league, and that was where we had a mismatch against them, I thought.
You haven't had significant playing time for so long. How tough was it for you?
It's not easy. It's not easy at all. I get really frustrated, and I really felt that this would have been a really good season for me, and it's just frustrating because I haven't played a full season yet. But you got 2 quarterbacks, and it's tough on a head coach to decide who to play, and it's also frustrating on the 2 players.
Your defense really got Tracy Ham unsettled today, we thought.
Yeah, for sure. Eddie Lowe, when Eddie Lowe made that hit for the fumble, I think that was a downfall for Tracy. He was shooken up a little bit. Come back, I think it was the next series, and Eddie made the pick. So Eddie could have been standing here talking to you instead of me. I thought he played really, really well.
Tom, congratulations. Have fun in Toronto next Sunday.
You bet.
Tom Burgess, our Foster's most valuable player, as Saskatchewan scores maybe the upset of the decade in the CFL, beating Edmonton in the West Final. Saskatchewan Roughriders had many of their fans with them here at Commonwealth Stadium today, and those people do not want to leave. They're outside the Roughrider dressing room celebrating this big win by Saskatchewan. Join us Sunday for the Grey Cup on the Canadian Football Network, and goodbye from Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton.
Sports Desk. Sports Desk is brought to you by Mazda, the cars and trucks backed by the best warranty in the business. That's the Mazda way. And by Gillette, the makers of men's shaving and grooming products. Sports Desk with Peter Watts and Chris Sedens.
Welcome to Sports Desk, the weekend edition. We've got a bit of extra time, so we'll have an extended edition of Sports Desk. We'll take you till about midnight Eastern time, so stay with us. An exciting day in the Canadian Football League, that's for sure. The division finals were held on Sunday afternoon. We will start things off in Edmonton, Peter.
Seems like a good idea. Thank you for joining us this evening. The Saskatchewan Roughriders were one of two teams to beat the Edmonton Eskimos this year, and certainly they have enough good personnel to give the Eskimos all they can handle on any day. But I don't know how many people really thought the Riders could win this afternoon at Commonwealth Stadium. The Eskimos with a 16-2 record, including 9 wins on their home turf this year, and trying to live up to the reputation of some of those great Eskimo teams of a few years back. Joe Farragelli and the Eskimos, just a couple of losses this year. One of them was to Saskatchewan. Edmonton opens the scoring. First possession, 7 plays, 69 yards. Reggie Taylor, number 26, gets the job done, barging his way into the end zone for a 7-0 Edmonton lead. Second quarter now, Eskimos lead at 10-3. Tracy Ham, though, whacked by Eddie Lowe, and here's David Albright. Picks up the rolling ball and goes 63 yards to the end zone. Managed to get past Rod Cottup, who was the only man with a chance to catch him, and it's tied at 10 right now. Turnovers the story in the game. 3 of them turned into 21 points by Saskatchewan. On the next possession, Riders put up 7 more. James Ellingson on the receiving end of the Kent Austin pass. Riders lead at 17-10. Late first half, bad luck strikes the Riders. Austin, hammered by Greg Stuman, injures a knee on the play, down and out, cannot play for the rest of the day. Entered Tom Burgess, however, he picks up right where Austin left off. Third quarter, 2017 Edmonton. Burgess to Jeff Fairholm. 46 yards later, it's Riders back on top 24-20, and it's about to get worse for the green and gold. On the ensuing kickoff, Keith Wright hit by Tuna Alapate. Another Edmonton turnover. This one will cost the Eskimos another 7 points. It takes 4 plays. Then Saskatchewan's Burgess goes to Ray Elgard. Terrific catch in the end zone as he got past Stanley Blair. 31-20 Riders. They go on to win it 32-21, and the Riders are going to the Grey Cup for the first time in 13 years.
No one gave us a chance coming in here, and you know, the year started off good. We hit a little slide in the middle of the season. You know, we got our butts kicked here last time we played in regular season, but hey, it's a new ball game when you're in the playoffs. We came together as a unit. Offense played tremendously. There's a lot of guys on defense, Eddie Lowe, Suter, and Dave Albright. Guys played great, and I'm just excited. Well, hey, I just feel good, and like I said, we got one more step to go. One more step, and after that, you come and ask me in another week. We beat a great team today, and we're just happy as heck, and we're going to look forward to playing 60 more minutes of football because we can't really celebrate yet. We haven't won a whole lot yet, and our goal is to play 60 more minutes of football and win the Grey Cup, and then we can celebrate.
I think you got to give Saskatchewan credit. You know, they played well, and I think the thing that surprised Tracy the most about the whole ball game was that we didn't make our big plays. And if you look back in the films, hey, we was making big plays all year, and we didn't make the big plays tonight. And you know, I think that was the difference in the ball game.
Well, I mean, hey, let's face it. I mean, I'm eating my words for saying some stuff about them, but it's just adding some color to the game. I mean, it's not being malicious to those guys or anything like that. And you know, I mean, there's some people I know on that team, and they know that. I mean, they know me personally, so. You know, it's just adding some fun, adding some, you know, fan attraction and getting their fans riled up, getting theirs psyched up. I mean, it's just a part of the game.
quite a game in Edmonton. Let's turn now to the East Division final. The Bombers against the Ticats at Albright Stadium in Hamilton. Now, you'll remember last year the Bombers upset Toronto in the Eastern final. They went through the Grey Cup, and they won the Grey Cup last year. They were trying to do the same thing again this afternoon against the Tabbies. It's freezing in Hamilton, but the fans are cool as cats. Unfortunately for the Ticats offense, it is not cool at all. Not here. Todd Dillon passes to Jason Riley, an ineligible receiver. He drops the ball. Winnipeg recovers. The Bombers' offense isn't much better, but they do connect for one big play. Rick Saltz finds an open house. That is Rick House. He heads down the sidelines. 87 yards later, touchdown Bombers. Bombers lead 8-4 at the half. Ticats call on Mike Kerrigan to do some work in the third quarter. Kerrigan responds with a 10-yard touchdown pass to Wally Zatilny, and Hamilton leads for the first time in this game. It's now 11-9. The Grey Cup winds are faith blowing. Well, Hamilton's defense takes over from there. Peter Giftopoulos forces a fumble with a nice hit on Lee Saltz. Grover Covington recovers, the defense dominating, but Winnipeg has one last chance in Hamilton territory. Less than a minute in the game, 3rd and 7. Lance Shields breaks up the pass. Hamilton wins the Eastern final. Final score 14-10. They will now move up to QEW next week for the Grey Cup, their 5th trip to the Grey Cup this decade. And after the game, League Chairman Roy McMurtry had praise for the Ticats.
I'd just like to say something on behalf of the Canadian Football League. First of all, to Al Bruno and the coaches, the captains, and the team, our congratulations. But I want to say also something about David Fraley. We owe a lot to him, and we're proud of you all.
I'll tell you, I got so much respect for Winnipeg. They played their hearts out, and right till the very last whistle, I didn't know we were going to win it, but I'm so happy. I couldn't tell you how happy I am.
The thing is that anytime you go into a big game like this, it's an opportunity to go to the Grey Cup. It's a big game, and we weren't going to come in flat, and Winnipeg came in playing great ball, and it was a defensive struggle, and I just thank God that we came out on top, because it's great to go back to the Cup. It's been a while.
I appreciate you coming in here, man. That's very nice. Hell of a game. Yeah, it was a great game. You got quality.
Congratulations. I was really excited. We're really excited. It was just a wonderful comeback.
I thought we fought very hard. I thought both teams did. Needless to say, we needed to execute a little bit better. Hamilton played very tough defense. They have one of the best defensive fronts in the league, and they played well as a team together.
Well, it's very disappointing, not really from what happened last year, but just from, I think our team did a very good job of fighting some adversity and struggling back into a position where we were actually playing to get it done. And I give them a lot of credit for that.
So the Grey Cup matchup looks like this. Saskatchewan against Hamilton. The last time these two teams met in the Grey Cup game was 1972. The game next Sunday, November 26th. That'll be at the Sky Dome in Toronto.